What's up, guys? Ben here is another episode of Scrap Time. I know it's been a minute. We just had an event, and you know we got to get the boys together. We got to talk about all things Madrid, Spain in the event, talk about some new stuff that dropped last week as well. We're going to get some new maps, new weapons, probably not. Is Rewind going to come back? I don't know. There's also been a bunch of drama with GAs getting broken, clips, Sam roasting former teammates, all sorts of fun stuff. So we're going to dive in. Let me introduce our cast, as always, to my right. It's the betting master. He's been hot lately. He's been on fire. I know COD this weekend was a little bit iffy. I know LAN could be a tough read, but my guy Chelly on the right.
Yes,
on below, obviously, we got the human turret himself, multi-world champion. Recently, we'll talk about some of his recent drama. Mr. Sam Octane. He's been shooting a rank play, though. I've been peeping. I'm peeping the gunny. Then the bottom right, we got one of the greatest Call of Duty players of all time, and someone who is very nervous for the match on Sunday. He's seen a lot of Super Bowls in his lifetime and recently saw his team lose one. So he's hoping he gets a W on the board. Mr. Jordan Kaplan, aka JKap. JKap, we'll start with you. 1 out of 10 nerves for the Super Bowl this Sunday. 1 being ice cold or winning the shit.
I'm already out of 10.
10, you're actually just shitting bricks.
I'm shitting bricks, then maybe I'm like a 7 right now. As soon as the game starts, it'll be a 10.
Like, you think you're just gonna get Patrick Mahomes, like ref cheese? Like, what's our concern here?
Nah, I actually feel confident. I think the Eagles team is just so well-rounded top to bottom. It's just Mahomes is scary. I'm not the refs with the Chiefs. There's some gays there, but I think it's just that's an unbelievable team with one of the best quarterbacks ever. So they just clutch up a lot. I'm hoping it doesn't happen to us again.
Well, I do have a futures bet on the Eagles winning, so I will also be rooting for the Eagles.
When'd you place it?
Like 2 months ago.
Nice. Ball door.
I got like plus 650, I think, or plus 7. I don't know. That was good coin. Let me go with you, Chelly. How was your weekend last weekend? I know you were vibing the call with the boys.
Yep.
How was that?
I mean, I'm obviously going to complain about the 6 a.m. wake up call. Not ideal. Shout out Tom and Sam for being in there every morning, though. The boys kept the vibes high. But yeah, I mean, Ben J, you killed it over the past weekend. I got to give my flowers to you as well.
Appreciate it.
The interviews were comedy. And the Gersh throwing the filters on was also just
he's a moron for that.
Nah, Gersh's editing on your interviews was actually perfect.
He's actually just trolling me. Meanwhile,
so
people come my chat saying L content when the content was a W. Sam, I mean, are they full of shit? Like,
they're just busting your balls, man.
I know. Well, how was your experience? Also, same thing as Shelly, just fucking waking up early.
Dude, it was hilarious. I think it was like Friday or Saturday, like the 5:30 for Tom wake up. He unmutes in TeamSpeak and he just goes, "I got a Sib more and a Paul more." I said, "You woke up at 5:30 in the morning to go put cash on Dante and Paul X more, bro." I was losing my mind. It was fucking hilarious.
He's a psycho. I mean, it was just a weird. Like, I'll talk about. We'll get into more Madrid stuff, but just for me, like the event starting at 4 p.m. local was just weird because I get to the venue at like noon. Doors don't really open until 2:30. I think they did it just to try and, I assume it was Toronto in the league to try and make it like both friendly for EU and for NA.
Yeah, I figured.
But it creates some other logistical problems. So I think for future EU events, because I'm sure we'll get more, I think we may need to revisit that. And it's always just going to screw people on the West Coast. It just is what it is, you know?
You just have to go with the local time, bro.
Yeah.
If you want to watch, you got to make it work. Like,
I agree.
Like the tournament ending at midnight just shouldn't happen. But
it started at 4. I actually didn't even know that.
Yeah, it started at 4 and then we end like 11 local.
I didn't even know that.
You guys want to talk? Okay, so we got to talk some season 2 stuff. Do you guys want to talk that on the front end of this or the back end of the show?
Whatever you want, Benja. Guide me. Take me down.
Where do you want to go?
I'm thinking.
I'm holding your pocket, Ben.
I'm thinking. Let's get to the end of the show because some of that stuff will come in like over the course of the episode. Also, Sam, do you want me to turn on the camera for you? My camera.
Huh?
You want to turn on my camera?
No, you're good, man. Whatever you want to do. I don't care.
Anyway, let's get into it. Major 1. So let me talk about my experience at Major 1, and then we'll get into sort of superlatives. Now, kind of kick into the team combo. So I got in Tuesday morning. Gersh and I were at Airbnb, which is a W play. It was great. There was a little bit of a noise complaint issue. I blame Gersh for that at the Airbnb, but whatever. He can hold the hell. We're in a good spot. The venue is interesting. It's basically a tennis center where they do the Madrid Open, and it's a good, like, it's definitely probably a good event in the summer, but like in the winter, like the venue's not built for like a winter event, like heating, a bunch of other stuff, indoor outdoor stuff's like a little bit funky. And a lot of people at the venue like didn't speak English, but Toronto had it set up pretty good. Like they were really good with comms and security and getting us in and out, giving us a good setup. We had a great watch party spot. A couple of issues throughout the weekend, but mostly I had a great time. I'll say this: the biggest W of the event, and everybody there can attest to it, the French fans, the UK fans, and the Spanish fans put on for the region, bro. And they were loud. I know it didn't. The building wasn't super full, but now it's because they picked, I think, probably too big of a venue for what they needed. But like those fans were popping. I don't know if you guys could hear them like super loud on broadcast, but even in our room with the windows, like they were really loud. They're bringing drums and flags.
The mix for the broadcast, you couldn't really hear the crowd noise all that well, other than like grand finals and shit like that.
They were really, anyone that went to the event can agree they were loud. And they coordinated flag waving. They had drums. Like I don't know, it was crazy, bro. So like, I think we should definitely have future EU events. Brad said yesterday there weren't many Spanish fans. There were not many Spanish fans on the first couple of days, but they started to pull up on the weekend as Heretics made a deeper run in the tournament. I would say more though, there were mostly English and Irish fans, and then the French fans were probably the two biggest populations. Like the Gentlemates fans, like they pulled up with like 500 people in their own section, so that shit was kind of nuts. Also, the beers they had available at the event were way bigger than any beer I've ever seen at any venue. So,
That's awesome.
I know how to do their alcohol. I would say what was like outside of the poor like timing, like viewing experience for you guys remote, like how was it? Was it good compared to past majors? Like, sorry, you Sam, what were your thoughts? Or just normal?
It's just normal, to be honest with you. I mean, it was my normal streaming schedule. Like literally on the dot, I would wake up at like 8 or 9, and it was done by like 5. So it was pretty routine for me, for the most part.
Like viewing experience, like with the just on stream, it's just kind of the same as the other fucking normal events.
No, it was just normal major for me.
I thought we were gonna get more like tech pauses and stuff, but we really didn't get that many. Like
Production was good.
Production was good. Yeah, no, I mean, I thought they did a really good job, all things considered.
Yeah,
The only issues were like game related, right? It was like the scans and the lobbies breaking, servers and shit.
They're like
I don't
one
think there was
time,
really anything production was.
one time Zach called an RC car and then couldn't move.
Yeah, I remember there was a sound problem, like a protocol hard point. I don't remember the series, but it had to be. I think it was the first series on like Friday or whatever that took 2 hours.
And they had a power interruption that kind of messed up the whole sound flow for everybody. But outside that, I mean, I was telling y'all before the event, like I didn't think there were going to be insane tech delays because they were pretty good about it last year. I think the only thing again with the 4 p.m. start time is that they're in Madrid for events. They have like a 10 p.m. curfew. If you go over the curfew, you get fined. It's like that in a lot of cities. Like Boston has that, for example. You probably didn't realize it. We had Boston events, but they also had like a 10 p.m. curfew. Other cities have it as well. Like I'm in Columbus. I think pretty sure Columbus has midnight curfew for events. But like
I didn't realize that. That's crazy.
Yeah, but if you notice, like at the end of the broadcast, give you a little, like you notice that like sometimes the casters like ended the stream, they didn't throw back to the desk to do like their normal roll up. Like they had to kind of get out because with the 4 p.m. start, if series went 5 games, they were already over the 10 p.m. and kind of into their grace window. So there's one thing they got to figure out for future EU events. We're going to talk about teams, but I think to kind of kick off the conversation, and then we'll kind of listen to probably Thieves and FaZe off the rip, I want to do like a little bit of a mini superlatives thing. I have 3 categories. We'll probably do this for every event, and I think this kind of helps with combos. So I'm going to start with you, Chelly. We're going to start with the best player. Who was your MVP this weekend?
My MVP this weekend, I'm going to give it to Tej, bro. I think
Let's go, Chelly.
Let's
go, Chelly.
Tej showed up on LAN. In S&D, I think he iced up in every single 1v1 situation he had. I can't remember a 1v1 that he didn't come through. Obviously, like they were winning all their S&Ds for the most part. And he looked even better in respawns when Gwyn would fall off on these. I think Gwyn, even in the interview with you, Benjay, was like, I know I'm struggling in respawns right now. Well, Tej had his back, and I feel like that's something we were missing at the beginning of the season. It's just like Gwyn would pop off and Tej would have like a moderate series. But I mean, dude, shout out Tej, man. I'm feeling like Tej out here.
1.18 S&D KD on the weekend, a 102 in control, and a 0.97 on hard point, which hard point number is better than online. S&D pretty consistent land to this. I think their overall control was on as good. But yeah, I like the Tej pick. Cap, who do you got?
I mean, I like the Teach pick, but I feel like you still gotta go like from the winning team. Like we're
Yeah.
talking the best player, the most valuable player. And I really do feel like anyone on FaZe could have gotten it, but I'm gonna go with MC with a sub in his hands.
MC
Specifically
sub,
with
okay.
the sub.
Specifically
As
MC
you
with a
guys
sub.
may know on this podcast, I've talked about it briefly publicly, but I have been an MC hater because of his play style with an AR for years.
Oh, me and you were on the same boat there, Cap.
Yes, I know we're on the same page, but I've been on that train for a while. But then he was running a sub on mainly a lot of Hossie controls, but just every time he had a sub in his hand, I was like, yo, this guy's like the most talented player in the game. So I'm still a hater when he has an AR, but when he has a sub, I'm MC's biggest fan. So I'm giving MC with a sub.
MC is
MC
MVP.
with a sub, my MVP. MC with an AR, still a hater.
What, who's your MVP, Sam?
I mean, if it's someone from the winning team, it's got to be MC as well. Little LAT bias. I think I'll go Dill Envoy.
Yeah,
I
I
think
like
he
the
had a really good
pick.
tournament.
That's a good
But
pick.
if it's someone from the winning team, it's got to be MC. I think. I know it went to Simp, but I think MC's tournament was just absolutely disgusting. To see him like finish out on LAN the way that they were playing online, I think he deserved it for sure.
Yeah, MC is probably a good reason for their turnover, and he's talked about kind of the personal journey that he's had in the last 5 or 6 weeks because he felt like, you know, a couple team talks like he needed to really pitch in a little bit more. But I agree with you, Cap. Sometimes an AR is a little bit hesitant to get in hill, plays too slow. But with a sub, that guy like he's just a completely different player with a sub. Just like it unlocks sort of a different part of his brain. I want to show Dill Envoy stats because I agree with that as far as thieves go. I mean, you know, S&D KD, I'm not going to read too much into. We'll get to sort of thieves sort of struggles in a minute, but you see the respawn from Dill, and like I think it was a big reason why Thieves' hardpoint was so good on Sunday. The control was pretty good. I know a lot of people have been critical of Dill, but he showed this weekend why this guy shows up in big moments, and I agree with you. Want to give him flowers. I'll say for me, I think still Simp probably my MVP this weekend. Just to do it all that Chris does, the little things, plays he made, especially in S&D. You know, you can pick really anybody on FaZe probably. They all kind of pulled their weight, and even on Thieves.
Pull up Sim stats on your stream.
From the weekend, I got you.
I haven't seen like all the event stats. From what I watched, it felt like Simp didn't have like that great of a tournament, especially like seeing like the MVPs he's won in the past where he's just absolutely taken over. It feel like he didn't have that event, but
1-1 in hardpoint, KD this weekend, 1.3 in search, 0.93 in control.
and it's still an unreal stat line.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like I said, like one of his true dominant tournaments, but I don't think you can really pick wrong between anyone on FaZe.
I just think their whole team they didn't have like maps where they needed to all. I think maybe this is a test to sort of the FaZe thing. I felt like they didn't really need that individual like takeover from people to drop 40 or 50 or map. Like a lot of those maps that they were winning, everybody was kind of pulling their weight, making plays together.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that we're sitting here and we're like, I mean, I think I said most, but like the fact that I think anyone that team could win the MVP is like in testament. They all four just played great COD.
I mean, I think we can use this as a kind of springboard then into sort of the Thieves FaZe conversation. I mean, we were expecting a little bit more out of OpTic, and we'll get to them in a minute, but I thought that was one of the best finals that I've seen. I'll start JKap. Like, do you agree? Like, and you think these two teams are probably right now, if you had to bank a major two, maybe we're gonna see a rematch?
It's too early to pick from major two, man. Stuff changes so quick. You don't know how teams are going to bounce back after, like a Thieves going to bounce back after a loss like that. How FaZe is going to respond after a win. Like, are they going to stay as intense in practice? Because that happens all the time. You win a tournament, and then all of a sudden, at next stage, practice gets a little lackadaisical. Oh, I'm getting bullshit. I'm getting joked. Comes out every time. So a lot can change. I mean, they're definitely the two favorites. They're unbelievable teams. That finals was everything you could have hoped for between those two teams, or even any two teams in the finals, but especially those two. It was awesome. It was awesome to watch.
Dan, what are your thoughts on the final and sort of Thieves and FaZe right now?
I mean, it was one of my favorite. I tweeted it was one of my favorite finals ever. I think that nothing's really ever going to beat major 4, major 5, the Rocker and Cold War. I don't think that final's ever going to get topped in the CDL. But it was definitely up there for me. Unfortunately, we didn't win it, but yeah, I mean, you can't really ask for even winners finals too. Like the winners final into grand finals was the best hardpoint or best Call of Duty, that I've watched in a while. Just every map was just like no one was getting shit on other than like the vault and I think the red card in the winners final. no one was really like costing. It was just everyone like rising to the occasion, making plays.
Yeah.
I mean, when people are playing at that level, it's always going to have good COD.
Yeah, I mean, you see his stats here. I mean, Dan had a minus 15, but he had a bad map. Like, but he had some pop offs during this. Like, I think overall, like everybody kind of pulled their weight. It's interesting you say Major 5. I don't know if I would put Major 5 up there. I think low key. Well, I mean, people don't talk about it much. Cold War Champs final was really good between Toronto and FaZe, and that went almost a distance. One map short. Yeah, and not an APOC, and that's second last map.
I like FaZe won pretty comfortably.
No,
I don't even remember Champs finals that year. I blocked the whole Cold War.
Toronto won some maps. They trolled the Gary Control. The Gary Control ended up being, I think, the turning point in that series.
Is that when Bance was like frying and they still lost the map somehow?
Yeah.
I remember that vaguely.
It was the Express. Like they dumped. Like there weren't as many. The thing with this series is a lot. See how close some of these maps were. Both hard points, basically half a hill. S&Ds were both close. The Control and the Protocol were close. Like the Vol S&D. There were only 2 of the 7 maps were just not close. Like.
Bro, we need 3 hard points, bro. The best of 7.
Agreed.
On Control, bro. The fact that you end search, control, search is just such a drag for viewers.
Agreed.
It is what it's done
Such
is
a dirty Nuzlo.
it basically, like, and we talked about this in previous years on the flank, like it basically means that the best control team usually wins this event. Because if you have an auto veto control, a la Sam, if you remember in this conversation, like a DCLO control situation that you guys had couple of years ago, it just kind of totally screws you if you come from losers because you're just gonna have to play your worst map.
Yeah,
on the cost show.
That's why I picked FaZe to win the tournament. Not against LAT, I had it against OpTic, but I just had them winning strictly because of control. And two of them in a best of 7. I just didn't see them losing both. And they were too good at hardpoint and search, obviously at the time.
So yeah, fun final series. Shelly, any additional thoughts you want to add?
Yeah, I mean, Paco, S&D, 2 things that aren't mixing this COD. I don't know what's going on with him. Something that if they want to beat the best, they gotta be the best. And I think Paco right now struggling is really hurting them. I mean, you can't drop. What is that? They dropped all 3 S&Ds, right? So I think he even scammed that last round. Was it round 11 when he went bottom elevator and got picked? He was licking the wall.
I wish we had the comms for that. Sorry to cut you off, but that was
good.
Was so egregious.
Egregious.
Yeah.
That was an egregious round 11 play.
No, it wasn't great. He did play better in search. I will cut him some slack because I've been hard on him too.
No,
I think that they
sure.
played way better search on LAN than they had online leading up to it for sure. Him and Dill were working the map a lot better than they were online.
I just want to know what their comms were like for that round 11. Was it like, yo, Paco, go underground, try to get a pick? Like,
yeah.
Just like because they didn't really show, they didn't really have info, anything else. They just like, yo, Paco, go underground and get one. Like, I don't know. That was crazy to watch.
There was a couple rounds in that map that were just weird. Like the round that they had full A control and Dan was like in spawn with bomb, just like not really doing anything. The round 11 was weird. They were all just doing nothing, and Paco just dies underground. Like there was a couple weird ones.
Yeah, this is the round we're talking about, and I just thought this was just I don't know whose play call this was. I don't know if Paco was like I can get a pick underground, but I just feel like if that was the case, like it was not the right read in that situation. And this is I don't know how you guys feel about Thieves S&D. I mean, I think for me on the weekend, the two key things were, one, they pinch too much, they flank too much when they get the bomb down, and they pinch the side where they can't see bomb.
Everyone was doing that, to be fair, though. There were so many bad plays this weekend in search with that. Like people just not thinking about the post plants at all. Like we watched like 5 haciendas where people would plant bomb at A and then just like wrap to P2 or wrap to plat, and then they plant it for the other side, and you can't even see it. It happened a couple of times with Miami, but I don't know, that was just like a common theme for the weekend for some reason.
It's just tough because it happened 3 or 4 times in the series where Thieves got.
Yeah, no, LAT was definitely the worst offender of it for sure, but I don't know why it's just like a thing now that people are doing. I don't know.
Yeah, I just think those post plants were the killer for Thieves. It killed them on the vault. They got slammed on the vault, and then in the key round on Skyline.
I got to tip FaZe for that vault, dude. The vault adaptations that they had from winners final to grand final was actually crazy. Granted, Scrap had 0, but like the whole team just got fried. FaZe like adapted way better on the fly than they did.
Yeah, I think FaZe's post plants are really good, and it's when Tyler or BZ gets in the groove on that map. Really, any team with aggressive sub player gets in the groove on the map is just so hard because they're going to carry a bomb, they're going to drop cat, they're going to get one at least. They're going to know when to get off a bomb if you're pushing vault. Like, they just handle the pressure really well. And I thought Thieves played the red card well in the winners finals, and then FaZe adapted well, I think, in the grand finals against it, because Red card's a map that I think plays at Thieves' S&D strengths, right? Paco is not having the best, kind of search vibe, but it plays at Dan and Scraps' strengths on that map. But you saw how well FaZe adapted in the middle of that, and unfortunately, I think the 2v4 was a big swing in there.
Yeah, not great.
So, I think Cap, you know some of these guys, Dan obviously and Dale. You think they're gonna work with Paco, try and figure out the little things in searching, get a little better at the game mode coming into Major 2?
I mean, yeah, probably just comes down to playing and the practice they have and him getting on the same page with Dill. Like, I don't know. Sam was saying that they look better, but then that round 11 just sticks out in my head so badly. Like, if Dill does it with him, it's like, sure, try something weird together. But there has to be some kind of conversation. And I'm sure that they've probably not already had it. They will have it if they haven't already. But it's just about being on the same page. It's not a lack of talent. Like, if you're doing the same bit in search, you're all on the same page with the talent that team has, they'll be fine. They're just too individual right now. And
it's funny because they had a double underground hit like 2 rounds prior on defense.
And it was great. They fucking caught a easy out. Like,
until Zach pushed top middle and fucking killed Dan out of a
not great.
Then if 2 guys underground, Dan shouldn't call in a car.
Well,
then you have 3 guys off the map.
Yeah, but if Dan's gonna call in the car, Scrap should watch his push, and Scrap was watching
Scrap has to watch everything on the map though.
Yeah, that's what I said.
But they have a car bot. They have yeah, I mean, in that situation, they had a car bottom middle. It was just not a good time to call the car, I think.
Because they're double underground, you don't call the car there.
Yeah, so I think a lot to work for Thieves in search, but the respawn. If you're a Thieves fan, you could have liked the hard points. I think FaZe probably trolled the Hasi. The red card was pretty close. I like what I saw from Thieves on the protocol control, considering FaZe's strengths on that. I think a lot to like in the respawn for Thieves, but they clean up the search. I think they're going to be a factor in Major 2. I think for the FaZe side, I want to take this conversation in an interesting direction, because in my mind, this is a type of series in the past that I think we would have seen FaZe lose in past years, right? Kind of thrown.
The finals or winners finals?
Both. I mean, going down 0-2 in winners finals, they probably would have gotten 3-0 in the past. They bowed back and they reverse swept. And then in grand finals, they dealt with the adversity well and kind of matched the intensity. And I thought, one thing that I think is probably has helped them, and they've talked about it in interviews all weekend, was bringing on Matt Fisher and really buying into the performance coaching kind of element of it, and how it's kind of improved their trust, improved their communication, and improved their overall mindset of things. So Matt Fisher had a couple of tweets over the weekend, kind of post all this talking about how, now 7 of the 13 majors, tournaments, including 2023 champs and 2024 EWC, teams that he supported. And obviously Adamas also works at your team cap, or your former team captain, Sam. And I think they also work with Toronto. So Cap, I wanted to start with you because I think you have an interesting perspective, having worked on both sides, both as a player and a coach. Like, what are your thoughts on the performance coaching thing? Like, do you see the value in it? Do you not see the value?
Yeah, I think it's been working great. We tried on LAT the previous 2 years. I don't know if they have one this year or not. I think they have Ryan again, but
they do have Ryan.
I think it definitely makes a difference. And I was not really a big fan of the idea at first, but the results speak for themselves. It helped us the past 2 years. And then, Matt Fisher, seeing his tweet there, like, Coach FaZe, he coached New York in MW2 when they won 2 events and champs. Like, and I don't know, there's just something about, having someone lead you that way and everyone buying in and having that same mindset. It's proven.
Yeah, what are your thoughts, Sam, former player?
I was in the same boat as Cap. I never really gave it any value prior to being on LAT, because we had 2 separate ones, because we have Ryan, who they're working with now, which is great, and then we had a different Ryan the year prior when we won champs. But yeah, I was pretty skeptical, but that, I don't know, it's weird, because when you're a player, you'd like, I know how to deal with adversity, I know how to deal with criticism, but having stuff like that, especially when you're struggling, it definitely was good, because like that helped me get out of a lot of ruts, specifically in Vanguard, when I was fucking dog shit at the beginning. I was super down on myself, like mentally, and then they kind of helped me dig myself out of that and eventually end up winning. But same with Ryan and MW2. Like, we were pretty up and down on MW2, but Ryan had a good way of like controlling our practice room a little bit better and how we talk to each other, because we go a little rogue in that room sometimes. Yeah, I think it's definitely team specific, but at least my anecdotal experience, it definitely helped.
Yeah, I think it's Go ahead.
I was
no
gonna
rush,
ask,
though.
does this just like keep a vibe high? Like I don't really know too much about what a performance coach is, what they
Yeah,
do.
it was like a vibe thing, a lot of like one-on-one stuff, depending obviously on what you need, but some like random team building shit, just like kind of trying to keep things going in the right direction. A lot of it, he was like more training us how to do it ourselves. At first, it was like a lot like really hands-on, and then through the time when we like learning like the breathing exercises and shit backstage when we're fucking tweaking and like just like small shit like that definitely adds up over time.
I
I
think
think it's more about just mentality, like building the mentality in players rather than like vibes necessarily. Like
Yeah.
a lot of players have to keep in mind, like everyone in the scene is pretty young for the most part. Even the experienced players are like, what, 24, 25, like
yeah.
still very young. And a lot of people come in, especially with like no previous experience, like you don't know what it's like to be on the stage performing in front of thousands of people. So it's like, and then how you respond to the criticism you get, and even like how you respond to the highs and the lows. So that's the way I always looked at it, is just about building that like level-headedness in players so that you don't get too high, you don't get too low. And yeah, I think it worked. And then like Sam said, the breathing exercises helped a lot because my dog's tweaking. Sorry for that.
Okay.
But the breathing exercises help a lot because it's proven like certain breathing techniques like can slow your heart rate and just calm you down in these high intense situations.
I think to summarize what the guys are saying is like, you think that as a professional, you have all the required tools in your tool bag in order to win a championship. But these are the type of things that add tools that maybe you didn't expect that you would need. And a lot of top players, it's not just the FaZe guys. I know, obviously, Cap, you said, and Sam, you said you guys used it. Toronto have
I think
used
there's
it.
a lot. I wouldn't be shocked if the majority of the league at this point doesn't have at least somebody on staff.
I think LAG has in the past. I know they haven't really netted, but I think last year they definitely overperformed. And then who else? New York Subliners. I think famously last year, or 2 years ago, Matt was working with them. Again, it's one of those things where you don't just add a performance coach and get better. You
gotta buy into it.
You got to buy into it. So, yeah, I think for the FaZe guys, look, like they obviously are talented. They play well, and our criticism has always been, they don't show up on Sundays. And I think talking to them on Sunday, they feel like adding this performance coach has kind of helped them get over some of their issues that have prevented them. And this was a weekend where in the past they would have fumbled, but this weekend they reverse swept, won a game 5, round 11. Like,
I'm sure they just had that in the back of their head, which is why I think it helps so much. Like they know, like the Sunday scaries is like the stigma with their team now. So having someone actually help them through that definitely, I would imagine, is just nothing but a bonus.
Yeah. Last thing I want to talk about with LA Thieves and FaZe. People want us to talk about this drama. There was some scrap drama, as there always is.
Yeah, let me see this clip.
I'm gonna pull up this clip. Let me also resize this fucking like crop and fix his window every time because it's so dumb. But
Oh, this is Zach talking about it?
yeah,
I didn't see this clip. Okay.
yeah, I'm gonna play this on my stream. This is Zach. He goes on for 2 minutes. I'm gonna not play the full clip, but he gives you his thoughts on their aborted little fist bump and then some words after, and Matt Fisher had to kind of break them up. So let's see what he said.
No. This is what happened here. What I said to Chris, I said he was the best. I think I was like, you're the best, or something like that. No. When I turned around to talk to Dan, I was like screaming at, like we were screaming at each other, me and Scrap. So like but I was fist bumping Dan, so I turned around. I was like, not to you. I was like, I'm not speaking to you, type thing. And then he said some trolly shit like you suck or something like that, but like it was trolly.
Then they get into it right here. You'll see. Matt steps in.
I say it's so funny here where they're like, yo, they're gonna fight. It's like, bro, I think Drazah would have his way with him, bro.
I mean,
30 pounds on this game.
I
like,
mean,
wait, I'm gonna say
I
there's no way
mean,
this
I mean,
no
fuck.
way. There's no way.
This is the
There's
best
no
feeling
way.
ever, bro. Chat, I will say, bro, the thing that's so funny is, bro, the 2v2 K-Son shit we played, like, right when the season came, like, the LA one, when I was playing with Shotzi, I didn't fist bump him then. I didn't fist bump him in the 4v4 K-Son shit that we lost. I didn't fist bump him in winners finals. Why does he think I'm gonna fist bump him in grand finals? Like I don't know what's good with him. Like he's begging for a fist bump. I don't know if it's
What's that
like
laugh, dude?
so people
Yeah.
can be on his side or something. But like, bro, I have no respect for him. I'm not gonna fist bump him, and it's just that simple to me. And anyone crying about that, like, grow the fuck up. Like,
It's a fucking video game.
There's more to the clip, but I'll leave it there. Like I think, look, and I'm gonna start. I'm gonna tell you, I know I'm gonna start with you. Like it's just clear from all the Twitter drama and the back and forth of these guys. Like I don't.
What the fuck?
They've dragged girlfriends. They've dragged kids into this. Like I just think this is.
Yeah.
It's never
This shit's
gonna end.
gone, bro. It's too far gone. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, like,
Relationship is chalked.
I think we were in the call with Nate Shaw. And he was saying, like, dude, in another life, these two are on the same team up until the wee hours of the morning in a Discord call, giggling to one another, like best friends. I don't know, man. These guys actually don't like each other, and I think Scrap's trying to like just be the bigger person, like fist bump, move on. Like at the end of the day, like all the beef that they talk on the TL is beef on the TL, and I think Scrap's trying to leave it there. And I think Drazah at this point is like, nah, fuck that. I'm being petty, like I'm doing this, that, and the other thing. And I gotta respect it. Drazah standing on business, and I feel like Scrap talks a lot of shit, and then he's going up to fist bump and just be the bigger person, but Draw's trying to keep that same energy. So
Yeah.
I mean, I gotta respect Draws in this situation. So good for him.
Yeah. If it were me, I would still fist bump because I think it just it puts the pressure on Scrap. If I were Zach, just thinking about like the mental side
why
of it.
are we analyzing your
Pressure
fist
But, like
bump?
whatever, it's
fucking-
his life, bro. I don't. I'm just
They
saying,
have,
like,
they have said so much shit to
They
each other.
said
They brought
worse stuff at fist
relationships
bump,
into
like,
it, bro. That relationship is
pressure-
chalked. Why are we care about a fist bump? That shit
I'm
is
not
chalked.
gonna lie, Sam. I brought it
Who
up because Draws just had a 2-minute clip of him talking about why he didn't fist bump him.
I understand, but I mean, like the community, like running with it, like, why the fuck didn't they fist bump? Like, do we all have fucking amnesia? Have we not seen the timeline for the last 2 years that they've played each other? Like, it's pretty obvious why they don't do it. I don't know. Of course, Zach doesn't want to. I don't know why it's even like a narrative being. Who cares, bro? I don't know.
Yeah.
And thinking about the PR approach puts the pressure on Scrap to,
Yeah,
to
like
what?
Who
To
fuck? Like, bro, what?
to
Who
look-
gives a fuck?
look more respectable. They don't care. They're just
Oh. I mean, I don't even know if I'm Ernie. I don't know why I'm going for it either. But like, whatever. I guess I don't know. Don't
yeah.
matter.
I don't know, Chad. If you guys are having issues on Twitch, by the way, I know some people are probably watching this back.
Yeah, it's
on the
Twitch.
pod.
People are
We're
yelling at me too. It's just
gonna keep
Twitch.
doing the pod, even though Twitch is messing up. But it's all good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll move on. I mean, those guys hate each other. I think they would eventually team, but
Just
I
what it
want
is,
to
bro.
keep with the superlatives because it's going to help us get to sort of I think the next team we want to talk about. I'm going to start with JKap. Who was your most disappointing player this weekend?
most disappointing.
There's two answers.
Yeah,
Don't take mine, Sam.
There's two answers. Chelly's a
You know what
pussy.
I'm gonna
There's
say.
two
Yeah,
answers, and
don't
Chelly's a
take
pussy for one of them.
Don't take mine.
Oh God, I'm not gonna lie. I think all of OpTic, except for Kyler.
yeah.
I think the other three all, kind of just hit the bed. Like I don't know. Like Shotzi and Dashy were considered like the best two players in the game. We talked about multiple times. We thought they were like who the top five,
MVP
if not
candidates.
top three. Yeah, and they both had very below average tournaments. Ken had pretty below average tournament. He's been kind of underperforming this year, which tweet about after that clip from me and Sam the other day already. But I just think that I don't know. They made themselves the villains, maybe mainly Shotzi, and to go and back it up like that is
Not ideal.
pretty pathetic, to be honest.
Go ahead, Chelly. Speak your piece.
Dude, honestly, okay, so disappointing means that you had expectations for them above where they were before they, disappointed you. So I'm going Purjay on this one, man. He did not.
No,
what
we're going
the
Purjay.
Yeah, bro. I'm going Purjay on this one.
They
I
got
was gonna,
last. You're gonna kick my boy while he's down,
bro. He
Oh,
was,
man.
breaking kill records on Vault HPs online.
Oh,
Then he shows up on LAN and Purjay's dropping like 16 on a red card HP, and it's like, I don't know if the lights got too bright or what happened, but I gotta call him out here, man. He didn't show up on LAN, and I don't know, man. I don't know what was going on with him. I think he's a great player. I think he's gonna shake this one off, and maybe it was just
purge, bro. Fuck.
it's
Oh,
tough.
Chelsea.
I think you thought I was gonna say Hixie.
No, I thought you were gonna say Brandon.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, I thought that was.
Brain's mine, man.
I thought that was the freest Chelly layup of all time. I thought you were about to pull the takeout from the first episode. Told y'all.
That's
Told
true.
y'all, man.
Sam set you up and you just didn't get the read.
I threw the layup and he missed
Cap
it.
did it already. Cap did it already.
No,
Oop,
you
and you
could
missed
have
it.
fallen. Listen, this is what you gotta learn about being a Twitch personality now, Chelly. You get an opportunity there to follow up your beef.
All
Got
good,
cooked on Reddit, but
Your beef with Brandon.
yeah, I mean, I
his one-sided beef with Brandon.
we gotta talk about OpTic, bro, because I agree with you, Purge.
I don't
and
get to give my fucking player bin. You don't like
Yeah,
me?
what's your player? Who'd you pick?
Just OpTic. Yeah, same.
Okay, okay, you just made a fuck you, Sam.
Also, we have a Ronnie tweet. Not to
We're
interrupt
gonna
the
get to the
convo.
Ronnie tweet in a second
We
about
do have a Ronnie
Vancouver.
tweet.
Yep, we'll get to it. Don't worry, chat.
Ooh,
I see
I'll
all.
look up the Ronnie tweet.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about OpTic, bro, because this is obviously just a segue to OpTic. Like, most disappointing players, most disappointing team this weekend. Online, 6-1. We're looking great. We thought they'd come in this event and be a factor. And when I was on the ground and I was talking to Brandon on Wednesday and then on Thursday, Sling just kind of fell off. I had heard rumblings. You know, we'd seen online prior to the event that they, you know, there's some scrims they were winning, some scrims they were losing, whatever. Shit happens. But when they were losing, you could see they were just getting frustrated, rage quitting scrims, whatever. I get to land. They were winning a lot of scrims and warm-ups, which is so odd because then they pull up to matches and they look like they didn't want to be there, you know? And okay, you know, you lose to Miami in front of their home crowd to an extent, whatever, like things happen. I don't know. For them to get eighth, and then with how good that team is, and I'll start with you, we start with you, Sam. Like, I think the pressure's kind of on now because, you know, yeah, you had a bad start in the beginning, but you beat LAG in game 5. They didn't look that good in that one either. You lose to Carolina and Miami, you repeat this performance in Dallas in front of your home crowd, and you're going to have a fan base really calling for some changes now.
Yeah, I mean, they already are. They were calling for changes fucking 3 weeks ago. See, the issue that I have, or not the issue, but like the take that I have is that they're in a lose-lose because nobody cares how they play online anymore. They could go 7-0 and no one will care because their issue was on stage. So they can look like the best team ever online and still no one's going to care, or they could be bad and people are going to just dogpile on their performance for Major 1. So now they have to have a good stage and show up and get top 3 probably for people to like get off their ass about it. But it looked like they were just uncomfortable playing their matches. Like I went over it a little bit, not like super in depth, but I was pulling up their online games versus their LAN games and like similar situations and holds and on things like that on different maps. And it was just like wildly different. And I don't know the cause for that. I don't know if they just like showed up and like got the yips. I don't know what it could have been. Definitely individual performance had a part in it because they just didn't play how they were online in terms of just raw stats. But even what they were doing situationally, it seemed a lot different online versus when they were sitting on stage, which is worrying because you can't replicate that situation until you get to that situation again. Like you can't practice a stage environment until you're in a match where it really matters. So they're in a weird spot right now to where we won't know if their problem is fixed until they're spawning in Major 2 on stage again. So yeah, they have a lot of work to do, but I think they still know what they're doing and they just didn't have a good tournament for whatever reason it was.
What do you think?
Yeah.
Or go ahead, Charlie. Sorry. No, you go ahead, Charlie.
I was just gonna say I think they did like a listen in on that protocol HP against LAG or Gentlemates, and their comms were just sounding so flat and they were sounding so defeated in that protocol. And I think a lot of people are already saying like, okay, well, AG brought that passion, you know, Pred brought that passion and that, you know, energy in those comms. And I think that's something that, you know, people are going to kind of hold on to when you're kind of missing out on Pred on LAN. I think AG on LAN did bring that energy and passion. And I think the OpTic Green Wall was kind of missing that. And that they might start to raise questions if that's a big issue.
Yeah, the community was talking about that. Cap, what are your thoughts on that? Because I don't know if you necessarily agree with it. But I'm
Pred bringing the energy?
Yeah. Like the other guys should know how to do it now.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's something to be said there, but I think that's just a lot of coping from the fans who want Pred back, want the champs roster back naturally. Yeah. But I don't know. I think they just showed up and got shit on. Like I don't think they're like they got nervous because they just won champs, their whole experience. Like I don't know. I think it might be something where it is like an actual underlying team issue that didn't really catch up to them online. Like I just don't think they're playing that well as a team. That's what I'm saying. They have the talent that like
You talking about
these-
specifically just at the major?
no, both in general.
You think that you don't think they were playing well online either?
I think it's just like it's not as cohesive as like top teams normally look in games. You know what I mean?
I think
I
they
think
have
it's-
I don't know, bro. Their last win against Toronto, the way that they beat them, I feel like that was just all the confidence in the world that you could get going into a major.
But
Like
this has
they
been- this-
fucking choke
This has been
slammed
their
them.
problem for years, though. This is my point I was trying to make on the flank a couple days ago. I think their approach to the team stuff is a little dated compared to we just talking about teams of performance coaches, like that kind of mindset on making a professional outfit. Like OpTic's never. I have heard for 6 years that this group has never been the best scrim team as far as like being on time, rage quitting scrims. Like they've always never had the full professional mindset that some other squads have. It's not to say they can't win because they just won champs, but I think that the way that they approach things means that sometimes they'll pull to events to be flat because they don't do all the prep work, they don't do the approach. I don't know if they were jet lagged for this event, you know, like it seemed like the energy wasn't there. They complained about jet lag after EWC. Like it just felt like to me, there's a lot more that they can be doing to ensure that their floor is a lot higher as a team and they can avoid these top eights.
But like, see, I want to like, I don't even know how to ask this question. Like,
Yeah.
Cap, when it's so, the way that they looked at the major versus how they were playing, I'm going to disagree with you, Cap, because I do think that they were playing really clean online. When you show up and just play like that, like we had it happen where we just show up to a tournament and just get fucking shit on. Like our reason, it was never like the way our practice was going. It wasn't anything crazy. Like, bro, we would just show up and sometimes just get fucking slammed. And it wasn't like it wasn't because we had a lack of energy, which sometimes it was, but it wasn't like an overarching issue. We would just show up and just fucking get fried. Which
Is it like
obviously
is
a
it
crazy
jitters or
excuse.
nerves, or is like you think they just happen to
Like
get shit
maybe
on?
they just didn't get in the groove of things on the event, which has happened to me over my career. I'm sure it's happened to you too. Like you show up confidence, you know, through the roof. Like you had great practice, great matches. You feel like you know your matchups well for your bracket or pool or whatever, and you show up and you just don't get in the rhythm. Like it happens, and I'm not saying that's what happened here, but for the drastic drop off from their fundamentals and the way they were playing online, especially after a win like Toronto, to show up to the major and not win a series, or I mean LAG, but I don't know, man. I feel like it was just one of those tournaments where people are trying to look for something where there's not much to look for.
Bro, Sam,
I mean, maybe there is. I'm not saying that I
Yeah.
could be coping as well, but genuinely, they look so drastically different that I feel like it's almost just like a fluke event to me.
The weird
I
thing,
don't know.
Sam, is like this isn't like Toronto a couple of years ago where they pulled up to the event, they were getting world starred in warmups and we're like, oh, and they got last of the event, or like Major 4 where they were in poor form coming in. They were, from my understanding, playing pretty good, like in warm-up scrims throughout this event.
Yeah,
Just the minute they came on
I heard the
stage.
same. Yeah,
Yeah,
I heard
the
the
mi-
same. They were playing well backstage.
It's just backstage were fine. Just whatever they're doing, maybe it's a reflection of whatever they're doing mentally as a team, as a unit, to get themselves in 110 mindset when that first map starts. They're not doing that. And so when they get, because it happens, you load in, the timings are not hitting, everything feels off. They're just getting frustrated and they don't really have anything to default to try and grind through it. That's what they got to figure out now. And I don't think maybe they're going to really need it for Major 2 because let's keep it a buck.
I think they'll be fine, bro.
I think they'll be
really
fine.
do.
They always
I
play
think
great
that they're
in
going to
front
go
of
to Major
Dallas
2 and fucking fry.
Yeah, but
personally.
they made the final of every event that they've ever hosted. They made the final of. They haven't
Which is
won
a
all of
crazy
them.
stat, by the way.
They've won 2 and
How many
lost
events
1.
is that?
Three.
It's like 3 or 4. Yeah, 3.
Yeah.
It was Vanguard, Major, 1 or 2
One,
with
which they
Ender,
Yeah.
MW3, and then Champs last year.
Yeah, they lost one to
Gotcha.
Toronto,
Two,
Major
and then
3, and then
MW3.
last year they won. Yeah, they
Yeah.
always play good in Texas, but you know, I'm just worried that they have a very good base on how to deal with the Texas environment, but they need to figure out the Champs is in Toronto. They have a Florida event this year. They didn't play that good last year in Miami. Their standards, like they got to figure out on these travel events what they've got to do as a squad to make sure they don't have hit a low floor. Because I
I
think,
don't think it's the travel that gets them. I think you're.
well, what do you think? I mean, the problem is I'm just trying to find a reason because it's odd. It's very odd to me. They should not be getting. They
That's
should
what
not
I'm
be
saying.
having
That's
this
why
many
I've been
bad
so
placings at
confused
other
about it.
events. It's what's so odd to me, bro.
I don't know. I think if it's anything, I think that what you said before, Ben, is that they don't really have like what we know of the past. At least maybe it's different now. This year, last year, maybe it's been different, but historically OpTic doesn't have like the most professional approach. I think they would benefit from a performance coach. I don't know if it's I shouldn't say it's not the most professional approach, but they don't do for how big the org is, how popular, they don't do everything they can. And like I think the performance coach
It would help if they
is
buy
a
in.
perfect example. I think, and
Yeah.
especially like for them, for you're playing on the biggest org, you have the most pressure, the most
Yeah.
fans, the most haters at the same time. Like I think a performance coach could help them more than any other team.
If
But
they want to
haven't
buy
really, they haven't really taken those kind of investments. They haven't made those kind of investments in the team.
They have
I
to
think it
buy
could
into
help
it. They have
them.
to buy into it though. Like you're saying,
Oh,
like
for
you
sure.
can't just, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I think they're gonna be fine in Major 2, bro. They're gonna pull up that event and play good. But
Agreed.
my
They're
thing
gonna
is
be
like,
chilling.
what happens after that is still gonna be the question for them because I feel like Thieves and FaZe are more equipped for the grind of the season.
I'm willing to say this, Benjay, real quick before we move
yeah.
on. I don't think we'll ever see Ant have a worse major in this Call of Duty. I think that
I agree.
his
Yeah.
worst land
I
performance.
think him and Brandon.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think whatever they're gonna make the adjustments they need to make, and I don't think Ant will ever drop a what it was a 0.89 or something like that. I mean that's not him. He knows that. He's gonna be grinding. I think they're gonna flip that switch. So
X basically said when they had a performance coach, it didn't help. Well, that comes to the point of like what we said with performance coaches. Like you don't just add one and then you instantly become the best team in the world. You gotta be willing to fall through and actually like make it part of your routine. If you don't do that, then it's like therapy, bro. If you just show up to a therapist, you don't talk, like, well, therapy is not gonna help. So, and I agree with Austin saying, like, you know, I think the other game modes were fine, but the 1 and 5 in Hardpoint this weekend was the kryptonite this weekend, and obviously they threw at least one game 5. So Miami. So we'll see what they do. They got FaZe next weekend, so I'm excited to see that online.
If there's any cope, they did lose to two top 4 teams.
Yeah. So.
Just
Speaking
drop
of
the cope there.
speaking of your Miamis of the world, last superlative, and this will be our transition to some of these mid-pack teams. I'm gonna start with you, Chelly. Who is your most improved players? You can pick either player or team from online to LAN.
from online to LAN. I mean, obviously, I would say TGM, but I already gave him my MVP of the tournament.
God.
Um,
Most improved and MVP. Holy fuck.
dude, Rancor was frying, but I want to give it to like.
Don't steal mine. I'm gonna be so pissed.
No, I'm not gonna steal yours because
Yours
yours is Geo. But dude, it's not Geo.
Not Geo, but that's a good one though. It's not
no, that
Geo.
kid-
But that's actually a good one. It's not Geo.
That whole Miami team started picking it up for sure. I mean, people will say it's the crowd buff. No, dude, I'll give it to Rancor. He was having a mid-pack kind of online qualifier and then came on LAN, and I think he really turned up for his hometown. So home city, whatever you want to say. So I'll give it to Rancor.
There's actually a lot of good shouts. I'm gonna go Reese.
Yeah.
I think Reese. There's actually a lot of really good ones. Geo is a good one. Yeah, I'm gonna go Reese. I think a lot of people were on his ass a little bit for the way he was playing online, and especially with the whole eye situation that he had going. Bro, he was fucking phenomenal on the weekend, man. He had like maybe that beginning series, but other than that, I feel like he didn't play bad. He was like the typical Vivid that we see, most damage in the lobby, like 0.95 to like 0.89 in that area. And I feel like he was really enabling their team to kind of do whatever the fuck they wanted to. And we didn't really see that online, especially specifically in search. He had a pretty good search event, as far as I can remember. But yeah, dude, I think I'm gonna go Reese for sure.
Yeah, Sam, and to speak on that, I'm pretty sure I mentioned it like day 2 of the major. Reese and Slasher, Vivid and Slasher completely flipped roles. Like Slasher's back to his main AR play, like way less engagements. They're letting Vivid kind of flow around the map more. His engagements went way up. So definitely something to note. I know we were talking about Reese being that kind of slower AR in the qualifier, so it's pretty interesting to see that I think they might have just flipped that.
He was head bashing.
Well,
I
I
love
think
it.
some of that is what we talked about with MC, bro. People are realizing that there are a lot of, as much as there are 4 AR situations, red card P1, for example, sometimes 8 ARs, but like we're seeing Hosty Control be like 8 subs. Like there are a lot of situations where people are realizing you just got to put 3 or 4 people with subs in their hands and just let them fly.
I feel like that team is so good for that kind of situation because you have a natural sub as your flex.
Yeah.
And I feel like he really wasn't even using a sub that much. It was like I feel like every time I was on his POV, it was an AR. which is crazy to think because I feel like after FaZe winning this tournament, that has to be a shift, which I think you have a topic on later, but that has to be a shift, I think, right now in at least the meta. I think people have to use more subs.
Yeah, it's gonna be a thread we're gonna talk about with teams that should make a change. Anyone that's got too many AR type situations or 2 full-time ARs, they need someone who's comfortable with a sub in their hand, at least one of them. Because I don't think the sub's going anywhere anytime soon. I don't think the Jackal's getting nerfed anytime soon, and you're just not gonna be able to match the pace of these teams on some of these maps if you're going with a 2-2 split. Cap, who did you have as your most improved from online?
I was thinking Reese also, especially after the day one where he had his eye shut and he looked terrible and was like, oh my God, this guy's tweaking, tournament's over. He bounced back and played great after that. I don't know what was going on with his eye. I don't know.
He was in my chat today. He still doesn't know.
I don't know what the full story was there, but I guess he doesn't know then. Crazy, just flew to Madrid with a fucked up eye. But one-eyed Raven played fine, but since Sam said him, I'm going to go take Sam's MVP pick, Dylan Envoy, because I don't think he was the MVP of the event because they didn't win, which maybe whatever, but most improved from online. That guy looked like he was the best player on Thieves, maybe the best player in the game over the weekend. He was absolutely frying, and I love to see that from him because nobody really expects that from him at this point.
People are talking about dropping him for a pred. I'm just like,
yeah,
like
feels disrespectful to say that because I love Dill. I think he's unbelievable, but everyone talking about the team just like, oh, scrap Hydra. Then here you go at the tournament. Dill was probably their best player all weekend.
He definitely was their best player. It's not probably. He was for sure.
Definitely the best player.
Big Dylan Envoy guy.
I think I want to give a honorable mention to Sib, aka Dante, because I thought he played improved in search, and that's been trending since online. And control, but his hard point, I think in general their hard point is off. But we're gonna get to him in a bit. I want to give Dante his flowers, but for me, if I had to pick a player, it's gonna be Geo. And the Minnesota team's been a little bit inconsistent. We've talked a lot about like, are they good, are they bad? I thought Geo really stepped up this weekend. Geo and Astro combo is really starting to pay dividends for that squad. They're still in kind of a funky spot as a team. They're still in a spot where they're gonna probably be battling to qualify for champs to a minute, but they had some good victories. A little bit of a mini losers bracket run and just kind of lost to a team that got third in Miami in a game 5. Like, I think Minnesota's continuing to show they battle. I think a lot of that is off the back of great plays from players like Geo and Estriel. So, but I want to kind of start to shout out some of these teams that are kind of in the mid pack and playing well. I want to start with Miami first because they're such an odd team to me. I watch them play in every map. It feels like they're going to lose, but sometimes they clutch them up. And obviously, it felt like this event meant a lot to him. He saw the Rencore interview. There's probably a lot of an emotional response to them trying to get the best placing possible, and they got third. And their only losses, I think, this weekend were to what? They were to Thieves twice, I think, right?
Yes, Thieves twice.
So, and they beat Carolina, Minnesota, and OpTic down on that first day. So, I want to start with you, Sam. Like the top 3 for Miami tippable. Do you think they're going to be able to run this back this year? I think it was kind of a one event fluke for them.
I don't know. I think they rose to the occasion with the Spanish crowd, and I definitely think that they were playing with that behind them, and I think that helped for sure. But I really don't. I mean, we haven't seen consistency from them, from any of these players. Granted, I don't know much about Rencore because it's his first season, but I haven't seen anything in previous titles to make me think that these guys have the capability of being that consistent as a team. And that's not to say that I'm going to write them off because I think that they're great, but I don't know. They're not like, what are you asking me? Are you asking me if they're going to get top 4 every event or like just be a serviceable like top 6 team? Because I think they have the capability of doing that, but I think that they hit their ceiling on the weekend personally. I don't think they're going to make a final. That'd be fucking insane.
I think top 6 is
wrong.
I think top 6 is a good, because it's going to be hard for anyone to consistently get top 4 this year, I think, but top 6, they can be there.
Yeah.
About
I mean, I think they played great. Like Lucky was awesome. I feel like he was under the radar the whole weekend. He played great. Search was awesome. Consistent backbone in the respawns. Metals had his patented 0.8 or like 1.5. He was dropping 10 on LAT. Like he had his series where he just pops off. And then the other 2 were fantastic. Real and Rencore. They played great the whole weekend. They were fucking awesome. Rencore made a fan out of me with his interview. So yeah, it was a great story. But again, top 3 is about the ceiling for this team. I don't see them making a grand final personally, but I think they had a great event.
Have you watched them scrim a lot last year? You probably seen a lot of podcasts from them this season. Like, you agree with Sam? Like, maybe they can kind of replicate this. You think they're just too inconsistent?
If I had to bet, I don't think they're getting another top 3. I think if they come stage 2 and like online and like are playing really well and looking good, maybe that's when it's like, okay, now these guys are legit. But from what we've seen of these players in the past and even this year, like I think this was the one-off weekend. This was kind of the top. I mean, like I said, maybe they turn the leaf, but I don't know. These players haven't shown me anything where it's like, oh no, they're the real deal. They're going to be top 3. They're going to be in finals. I just think that's we need more proof before we kind of say that.
Yeah. What do you think, Charlie?
Agree with Cap. I don't think they're ever gonna get top 3 again, and if they do, they're maxing out at top 3 for sure. I was hate watching medals for a little bit at one point.
I don't blame you though on that. He's just so consistent.
I need kids like I really want the Heretics to do well. I love their story. I love everything about them. I love their comms. They're like electric to listen to. But when you're going from dropping 15 in a Hacienda Search to dropping pretty much, I think Metals had 1 in the next series that they played Hossie Search, you lose me. You really do lose me. I need consistency. Real specifically, this team, like I'm really happy for them. They did really well, but I definitely have had them under like my microscope. Rancor obviously been like their most consistent, but Real hasn't been that consistent, to be completely honest. He's had some really bad maps, and I feel like whenever Metals is starting to kick up, Real's falling off, and whenever they're never both frying, right? We're never seeing Real fry, and we're never seeing Metals fry in the same lobby, and that's a major issue. So that's my concern with this team for sure. I love Lucky, by the way. That dude is a shooter. Let Lucky cook. Him and Reese, similar situation. They play really slow, but they have a gunny, and they need to be put in like a Bruce situation where they can also fry.
Reese Vivid plays slow now?
Online, he was playing slow.
He was playing slow, and they put him in a position to fry, and we saw it. You guys have been talking about it this entire weekend. Lucky, when he's moving, is a shooter, and they need to let him shoot.
I want to see this Miami team embrace the more subs thing. And obviously they have Super coming over. It looks like from Super Sweet he's going to start off in Challengers, at least a split. And I don't think they'll bring him in unless they really like bottom out. But I kind of agree with all y'all. It's tough to see them get top 3 again. I don't think it's impossible, but it's definitely tough just because the mid pack's very competitive. I think this might have been where they topped out, best placing the org ever in COD. Can they be a consistent top 6 team? I guess we'll see. Because I'm not convinced.
I think they have the capabilities of being a top 6 team for sure. But I mean, it was a hell of a story, bro. Not necessarily your home major, but your home major getting the best placing that any of these players have ever had, Saint and Sunday. I mean, it was great.
Yeah, I think top 6 is doable also consistently, because I think that tier is just wide open right now. Just like I don't know. I still think it's the top 3 that we all thought: FaZe, LAT, OpTic. I still think Toronto's 4th. You know, they didn't look too great this weekend, but I still think they're 4th. And after that, I just still think this is just a wide open league. So I could definitely see Miami being top 6, but for me to like really be a believer in like, oh no, they stepped up, I want to see like top 3, top 4. I want to see them break into that tier. Well, top 6 doesn't really move the needle for me for any of the teams.
Let's talk about Toronto, because there's not much I'll say about Miami. What happened to these guys this weekend? I mean, we've talked a little bit going to the event that it's something they can control, but their schedule was a little bit soft.
Ravens over Ultra, by the way. Just read that in the chat. I did not mean to disrespect Ravens.
Yeah, we'll get to them in a second, because I agree with you. I think the mid pack's very competitive amongst some of these teams. It's not like Carolina's been consistent either. But for Toronto, I mean, they beat FaZe in the beginning of the year when FaZe were like a completely different team. They played like Vegas and Vancouver, Minnesota, Miami, LAG. Like, they didn't play a lot of OpTic and Thieves type stuff. And when they played OpTic before the event, I mean, OpTic kind of dumpstered them. They had a good victory against Vancouver. They're kind of a dead team. We'll talk about a rumored roster change that got reported as we're over doing this show. We'll get to Vancouver in a minute. But the minute that Saturday rolls around, these guys, got 3-0 smoked off the map by FaZe pretty clinically. And then they played kind of a heater with Carolina, but it feels like at times this team's just a little bit inconsistent. Carolina went up 2-0. Toronto actually battled back for once in the series. and then lost their best map in Protocol Search. I'm gonna start with you.
Lost it twice on the
Dan, I'm
weekend.
gonna start with you. Do you think part of maybe the reason for Toronto is that they were playing all these weak teams, especially on Protocol? Once they started playing a FaZe or Carolina that are really good at that map mode combo, it kind of exposes some of the weaknesses in our maybe non-deep map pool.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a map pool thing. It's probably the most glaring issue, but I don't, for whatever reason, I just don't have confidence in this team against OpTic LET or FaZe. I picked FaZe to beat them convincingly in their 3-0, and they did. I'm still high on Toronto. I have them. The way I've been thinking about their team is how MW3 New York looked, where they're better than everybody, but not good enough to win, I guess, until the very end cage match tournament. New York was just better than everybody until the end of the season, but they couldn't really crack a final. And I think Toronto is kind of in that same spot. I can't attribute it to anything other than just the way they've been playing Respawn. I think they are still very good at Search, but I think Ravens were just hot on the weekend. They showed up. They played a pretty good series against them. And I think FaZe kind of had their way with them. Same with OpTic Online. I just don't really have confidence in them and Respawn specifically against the top 3 teams right now. And again, I'll pick them to 3-0 everybody else. I'll pick them other than maybe Ravens right now, but I'll pick Toronto against anybody else with confidence. But their map pool is just not where it needs to be. The way they play hard point, they don't rotate. I think they're dead last in rotation percentage. They just have to really work on their 1-4s in order to get more consistency against the top end of the league, which they can out-talent a lot of people right now, and they're the best search team or one of the best search teams. I think FaZe is the best, but they have that in their bag to beat everybody else. But when you're talking about winning tournaments, which is where I had this team for Major 1, their hard point is just not where it needs to be.
Through stage 1, they are 3rd worst rotation win percentage, but they do the top and hold and breaks. They do the back end of hills well, but to your point, like, that only gets so far if you end up playing teams like a FaZe or Thieves that are going to be very good at hold percentage. FaZe, highest rotation team in the league, and second highest is Thieves. Suddenly that break style is not really going to work if the other teams are very good at holding said hills. So, do you agree, Cap, with kind of Sam's thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know what's up with these guys. They have the talent, but watching them, it does feel like something's off. I'd have to watch them closer because what I'm watching now, like, I'm not analyzing the mini map the way I did as a coach, but I don't know. Something seems off. Their pacing seems off. Doesn't feel like Sam said, they're not rotating the hills. I don't know if they're just spawning up, just like, oh, bang the scrap time. But something seems off. I think they're good enough. They'll still be in the top half of the league, probably 5th behind the top 3 in Ravens, who I forgot about before. But I don't know. They got to find something in practice. They got to find that teamwork, that cohesion. They got to get that to click for them to break into like serious contention.
Your thoughts, Shelly?
Yeah, I guess my message for Toronto is let's learn red card hardpoint. Let's not, it's one of the maps that I feel like if you're a really good team, you should be able to play the bad teams on red card and fucking slam them. I don't know if Joe doesn't want to pull out an AR or what's going on with that, but these guys clearly can't beat FaZe on their worst hard point, which is Vault, in my opinion.
God, what a map, by the way.
That was a ridiculous map, by the way. Like, FaZe, nobody wanted to get on time. So I don't think Toronto's as good as Vault as they think they are. So maybe let's learn a red card hard point and change our auto veto, because I really think this team can be good on a red card. I think Beans is going to have a beamer on a red card. Beans is probably going to have 50 plus kills every time they play red card, bro. Like, honestly. And obviously we know Jamie can shoot. I don't know what it is. Joe, if you need to learn Amez, I'm sure Octane would love to sit you down and have a one-on-one course to help you.
Learn Amez is crazy.
I'll teach you how to run an AR.
The only thing I'll say, Chelly, is like, I agree with you. They have a red card auto veto, and the product of, unfortunately, just the way the series are going, they didn't really play Skyline. It's not like they were banning Skyline.
Teams banned against them.
Yeah. It's not getting played. The problem is, one, they're a good protocol team, but when they play better protocol teams, they lose. And they can either get better at red card because their vault's not good, or they can become the world's best Hossie team because they do
They're
that.
Pretty good at Hossie.
Their Hossie's not bad, but
right?
again, again, I think a product of this split is just we didn't see them play a lot of top teams, so it's hard to see how their map pool lines up against those teams. And I had heard in scrims in the lead up to the event they were playing pretty good. And then I heard at the event that warm-ups weren't going that well. So like they've got some map pool things to figure out. So that they can step up to that top 4 spot because they have the talent to do it. I thought Ben Beans had a great stage. Joe had a great stage. Kalina's had a great stage, but there's a lot of exploitable things with this team that against Thieves and FaZe that right now they're just not their level.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we were also talking about their search being like final, and I'm pretty sure they didn't win a search the entire weekend.
They were
so
4-0 on protocol and they lost it twice.
there you go.
Yeah, the
And
search
that
is
hurts for sure.
They did win a search on Hossie in a round 11 against Vancouver, the dead team, but they lost
My
to
bad.
FaZe on protocol, lost to red card S&D round 11 to Carolina, and then lost to 6-4 protocol to Carolina. So, and I think FaZe and Carolina are probably two best protocol S&D teams in the world. So it is what it is. They got to figure out their map pool. Let's move on because we got a lot of stuff to talk about. Let's talk about Carolina, and then we're gonna get to a lot of teams that are in the maybe should or shouldn't make a roster change. Carolina was looking a little bit iffy coming into this. Like their December was great, their January not so much. But to you guys point, the one-eyed Raven in Reese Vivid, and TJ having a phenomenal event. They really, really battled hard all weekend, and were able to work in a top 4 placing. Just seemed like maybe they ran out of gas against Miami on Sunday. Just came out a little bit flat in that series. But we'll start with you, Chelly. Like if you're a Carolina fan, Carolina teammate, top 4 this weekend, W or L?
I think it's a W, and I think that there was a lot of good moments that they can kind of build off moving forward. It'll be cool to see Gwyn kind of go back to online, just because I do think he struggled on LAN, but I think that that's just going to come with experience, right? I think last year was his rookie year, and just getting more and more reps on LAN, Gwyn I mean, he picked it up, I think, towards the latter half of the major as well. So it'll be pretty cool to see. I mean, Slasher's got these boys locked in. Tej looks like, I mean, we were talking about it the entire weekend. I can't say enough good things about how good Tej was playing. And I think if you're a Ravens fan, you're in a really, really good situation right now. Let's just hope it translates back to online. I hope scrims are vibey, because I do think one of the complaints was these guys aren't trying in scrims or whatever. I don't know. I don't want to talk too much about it. I know Cap and Sam can probably speak on it, but teams were saying that Ravens aren't trying in scrims, which
You could say Shotzi.
Yeah, who said that?
I just don't want to.
One Anthony K. Shotzi said it. I have their stats pulled up if you guys are curious. You know, online they got off to a good hardpoint record, but they started kind of fumbling the bag a little bit in hardpoint the last couple of weeks, and kind of reflected on LAN. You know, 1-3 on Hossie was really a problem, but you see they went 5-1 in search on the weekend, which is great. And they were good online, and then the control about the same. So I don't think the online form was all that different. They were trending bad in hardpoint before this event, but you know, I think you guys probably agree. Cap, you probably agree. This team's search prowess is why I think they're where they are. You know, there's series where they got to grind out, and these guys can do it against the best.
Yeah, Austin Litico, man, spread play for picks. Fucking damn good at it.
Tombstone.
Yeah, but sometimes
Damn good
they're
at it.
also
He's gonna keep doing until the day dies.
they're also good at the head smash strats, though. That's why they're a good protocol team, because their O's like they have very good offensive. They know how to handle the offensive strats and the post plants on the map.
I will say, because I just have to get this off my chest, any idea that an Austin-led team is not trying in scrims is pretty egregious.
Insane.
If I don't that comment by Shotzi is just brain dead, and it aged so terribly after this major that it couldn't appear more brain dead. Austin
and so they were fake good and they outplaced them at the event, bro.
Yeah, it comes like obviously there's 3 other people, and you know they're like it comes down to them trying to, but Austin is not letting his team bullshit for like days at a time. Every now and then, maybe you have a bad day where shit slips, you kind of chalk the day, but they're not just going in bullshitting in scrims. That's not how Austin approaches COD. They're going in 100% more often than not, more often than most teams.
Well, Ronnie's in my chat and he says they do get fried in scrims. To be fair, other top teams have said they don't try. Like my take on it is, Austin definitely is going 120%. I know Austin. He's not taking.
I know T just getting a little trolly for sure sometimes.
I won't be surprised. A Reese Gwyn TJ trio doesn't strike me as the most consistent practice team in the world, and I've heard the same rumblings, Cap, that these guys could be doing a much better job of locking in on a given day in scrims. They're just a little day to day.
I don't know. It's got top 4.
They have to, though, because you know what I'm saying? Like, you got top 4 now, I agree. Do you know what's going to happen after this event? Everybody's watching your VOD. They're going to copy and replicate your play style, and you got to continue to innovate and push the meta. And this team is perfectly suited for how this game plays. They can fly with subs and let Austin just run a full-time AR. But if they, you know, continue to kind of trend this way in hardpoint, they're going to just turn into the old Carolina teams where their only out is to really take it to game 5 and win the search. They can't win respawns. Not that's at that point right now, but that's where it could trend to. You guys agree, or you think I'm just bullshitting?
I don't know, man. I like Carolina's game, and even if they are getting fried in scrims, like just having hands-on experience with Austin, I know that the way that they're playing the game, even if their scrims get trolly or if they lose, like I know they're taking away and implementing the things that they need to in order to be good at the game. Like even if they are losing map count or whatever it may be, like I know that Austin is going to have them playing COD the right way at least. And this team is always going to be good at search. There's never, I genuinely don't think that there's going to be a point in this year where this team is bad at S&D. Barring Tej and Austin just having a random horrible fall off, but like they can extend series for sure and could be relying on game 5, but we've seen it online and they played pretty good hardpoint at the event. Like I don't think that this team is going to have like a crazy hardpoint fall off. Like I genuinely think this is a very well-rounded team with good fundamentals and they're great S&D backbone. Like I would not be shocked if Carolina is a consistent Sunday contender for the rest of the season. Genuinely. I mean, I was spewing proppy preseason on them and I'm going to keep doing it.
Let me ask this to the three of you. Do you think they win a major this year?
No.
Carolina, no.
But they could make a final though. It's definitely possible.
I'm not going to say they should have beat Miami because they did come out flat. And I think Tej, specifically in the search, just really wasn't what he was a couple days prior. He had a couple really bad deaths on their Hossie loss to Miami, but they came out flat. This was a top 3 performance for them, I think, on the weekend. Miami outplayed them on Sunday, which I'll definitely give them. But if I'm Ravens, like this was a very achievable top 3, which from the way that they're playing online and being a bad scrim team and the way that they looked online in the qualifiers leading up to the major, I'm 100% taking if I'm them.
I disagree with the three of you. I think this team can win a major. I think if Gwyn doesn't play that bad in respawn, as he did, and be a little more consistent, and Tej fries like that again, I think this team has all the fundies, and their S&Ds looked unbelievable. And they could even, if they have to, maybe Neslo some teams, some of the top teams even. So I disagree. I think this team can actually win a major this year.
The
Gwyn
problem
needs his LAN coming out party.
Yeah, he really does. That'll be how they do it.
This is now only his second year competing, so it's not like I have a firm opinion here. They're like, oh, he's fucking an onliner. Yeah. But like at some point, every player, you always prove it online first, and like the nerves get you on LAN the first few times, maybe. But at some point, you need that moment where it's like, oh no, like I am this good. Because at the end of the day, if you're that good online, you can be that good on LAN. It's just a mentality thing, mindset thing, like a real belief. So yeah, I think he's a great player. I think he has to have that moment of LAN. If that happens, maybe Chelly, maybe they get finals, maybe they win a tournament, but I don't know. You need to see that happen for sure.
Get them in PC.
I think him and Gwyn, or Tej and Gwyn, just like completely flip-flopped, like online to LAN performance. Like Tej was playing how Gwyn was playing online, and then he played how he should have played on LAN. Yeah. Like I don't want to call Gwyn an onliner because last year I genuinely think like his team, he was putting in unfamiliar situations because of how dog shit his team was online, and then they were getting kills on LAN, which I 100% understand. He's just finding himself and shit. Oh my god, I have kills here. Like I don't have to go make a crazy play. But with this team, I feel like when you have that level of consistency online, you need to transition it. Like I think if he performs, or if he doesn't perform on LAN this year in its entirety, I think that narrative is correct. But up to this point, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt because I do think that he is disgusting, and he just needs to have kind of what Cap said. He just needs to have an event where he is a 1.2 to really like kind of keep that going forward.
Yeah, I'm with you. I want to see that event like this year. Ideally, like it next event.
His team is too good for him to not be good on LAN.
If you have 2 years in the league where you're drastically outperforming online versus LAN, that's when the community as a whole and other players and teams start to be like, oh, this guy's not really cutting it. He's nervous. He's this. He's that.
Yeah.
You gotta have that moment. You gotta have that event.
Yeah. I don't know if their map pool bag is deep enough for them to win the event, but I think they can definitely factor in because they're search. The thing that I'm looking forward to Carolina is their schedule to start this stage is really hard. They have the first weekend Thieves in Toronto, and then Minnesota and OpTic. None of those 4 matches are easy matches. Even, we'll talk about Minnesota in a bit. Like, they are always a tough out. And then it gets a little bit easier, but Cloud9's got to get it going. Potentially roster change there. Miami just came off a top 3. That's a rematch in Vegas, a free dub. But, like, I will not be surprised if there's a stage where Carolina stumbles a little bit just because this is a very tricky schedule for them to navigate. And they're Hardpoint still feels a little bit iffy to me that they can get exploited against some of these teams. But we shall see. I want to move on. I want to kind of go, and we're going to not spend a lot of time on some of these teams. We don't need to. Talk about should they make a change or should they not make a change. And of course, as we film this podcast, one of these teams, the roster news does come out, and I'll let you guys live react to it because I don't know if you guys have seen it. We're going to start with Vancouver. I know Ronnie's in the chat, but there is some live news we see reported by Ronnie on breakingpoint.gg. Vancouver Surge are looking at Marcus Afro-Reed or Travis Neptune McLeod as potential additions to the starting stage. They've obviously been disappointing, and it looks like Charlie Hicksey is the one that is in danger of being dropped. So no confirmed change just yet, but I'll start with you, Cap. Thoughts on either Afro or Neptune coming in here for Hicksey?
Yeah, I think it has to happen. Charlie's a good kid, man, good heart, but I just don't think
Can't get kills.
Can't get kills. I don't think he's good enough for the league. I'm a big Afro fan. We had him start last year, and he was not great with us, but he had a lot going on in like his personal life that I'm not gonna get into. But he had a lot going on, a lot of shit that just kept his mind off the game. He was not fully invested, and now I haven't talked to him in a bit, but I hope this time in Challengers back at home with his family is kind of, leveled him again, brought him back to where he needs to be mentally. Because, I mean, Sam, you can probably attest more than anyone. Like back in Cold War was like his come up. Like he had the potential.
Even
like
early MW2, he was really good on
Minnesota. Yeah, he was. I forgot about that. But like he had those moments where he looked like he was the next big thing.
Yeah.
So I hope he's a great kid for his sake. I hope he gets the chance, and I hope he falls out and proves how good he can be. Yeah, I'm rooting for him if he gets that chance.
So someone in chat pointed out, fellow actually tweeted about an hour ago, actual new fourth today, scrimming at 4:30. So I wouldn't be surprised. Look, in it's very funny because they could have had Kyler on their team, but whatever. We talked that to death. I wouldn't be surprised as much as Marcus had a really good stage online in EU Challengers. Obviously, the difficulty is always picking up a European player, it's visas and all that stuff. Asim, you're saying it's clickbap? That he's clickbaiting?
Yeah, it's
all
clickbait.
right, appreciate Asim. But I wouldn't be.
Good
comms, Asim. But I wouldn't be surprised if Nep may end up just being their choice, just because they can't get the visa thing sorted in time with Afro. But they listen. I see what they tried to do in the offseason. You all agree it was maybe not the wisest thing. It kind of played out how we predicted. That as much as you want to play fundamental players in your team, you gotta be able to shoot back. And unfortunately, that team was bringing BB guns to an LMG fight. And it was not going to go well.
I actually don't see what they were trying to do.
I don't see what they're doing either.
I understand trying to get.
I saw what their vision was, and we didn't agree with the vision. Though. That's the issue.
I understand trying to get more fundamentally correct, but I don't.
You need talent.
Yeah.
Sorry. Hey.
The whole role player, vocal leader, that role can work and have value if you're dropping like a 0.95 at worst. When you're dropping worse than that, that role doesn't have value, and that's coming from someone who played that role.
All you're doing is telling them how to break hills.
And one chance playing that role. Yeah.
And when I won those events, I had like a 1 KD or above, and then I got away maybe a few times 0.95, but then I did have those moments, notably towards the end of my career, where I was a 0.9, and looking back, I just wasn't cutting it. I wasn't good enough. The 0.9. So
yeah,
you have to bring all those intangibles and at least give your teammates a 0.95 to 1 KD.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I love Hicksey. He's a great kid. You watch him play, like he makes good plays. Just if you can't win good fights at this level now, it's tough. And I'm not surprised they're correcting, but I feel like, and you guys probably agree, they're going to get that much better with either Afro or Neptune. I mean, they're going to still need a boost to step up, and 04 is very consistent. Like, it might still be tough for them.
It's been a bit, but we've seen Nep in the league, and we've also seen Afro. Granted, I don't know how good or bad they are at this game. It could be a situation where this is just their best COD, so I don't really want to super speculate on it. But I mean, it has to be an upgrade. I'm sorry to Charlie, brother, genuinely, but like he was just not good, and I think that you only got to go up at this point. Which every take that we had about their roster preseason is just absolutely correct. Like I don't know where the direction of the team was going. I don't know what style of COD they wanted to play. And I mean, this outcome was absolutely inevitable. So I hope that they make the right change. I hope that they do get better, because it's not great when you have a team performing the way that they do. But hoping they get better. That's all I got.
I think this COD is a little too quick for Charlie. I think that he excelled. I think last COD is a little bit slower paced. But I think that, the fact that there's just a million gunfights happening on the map and you're not winning majority of them, or not even close to majority of them, I think he's going to go back down to challengers. We saw him; he's actually not even that bad in S&D. Like
Charlie's good at search.
His best game.
Yeah, he was,
right?
but that team doesn't need search.
Exactly, they don't need
Team
search.
does not need search.
That's just a slowed down game mode, right? Like he needs to be able to run with 0-4 in a respawn skyline and keep up with 30 plus kills, and he just wasn't doing that. So shout out Charlie. I mean, I hope he does well in challengers, and hopefully he comes back next COD, because this and I'll just be point blank honest, this COD isn't for him. So
Well, I think they're in probably making a change there, so we'll probably cover their final move once they do it. But they got last at the event, 1-1 map. They had a good kind of momentum online to get some points. They could start in winner's bracket, but they didn't really follow through on a good placing. And yeah, they're kind of on the cut line now.
Ben, this guy in your chat said something about 0.9 KD, and I want to address this, because if Kenny drops a 27 and 30, nobody's with a brain telling him to drop him, because 27 and 30 is a 0.9. If you can guarantee 27 and 30 every map, that could work. But the problem with a 0.9 KD is when you drop a 0.9 KD, that means you're having some really bad maps. Yeah. You're having maps where you have a 0.6, a 0.7, 0.8. If you could guarantee a flat 0.9, then that could work every map. If you could do that every map, but that's just not the way a 0.9 comes to be.
Yeah, there's statistical distribution within that 0.9.
Yeah, that's my complete thought about that conversation.
Statistics 101 with Mr. JKap. Cool. Well, let's move on. This is a team that I think a lot of people are waiting on rumors about, and that is C9. They didn't have, just like Vancouver, a great event either. Obviously, we know at the beginning of the stage, they had the online issues. They didn't play that good at Case Online, whatever, preseason tournament. They won that one match against Minnesota after that weekend. We're like, maybe they're back, and they are now on. They have now lost 5 of their last 6 matches since then. So they're 2-7 or 2-8 on this entire stage, with their only wins against Minnesota and Boston. And I think it's abundantly clear that, the subs are, Mac and Kremp are decent, but I'm going to start with you, Shelly. Like, what do you do about this AR problem? Because Dante's played a little bit better. Dale didn't have that good final stage. You keep it going? Do you make a change?
I think it's too early to make a change. I think you give them the beginning of the qualifiers here, see how they do online. Because maybe Dante got a little bit of his confidence back on LAN, and they come home and he shoots a little bit better. Dylan was bringing out the Jackal a little bit. Like, he wasn't looking too bad. He was looking a little more comfortable on LAN. I don't know. It's tough, man. Mac was having a great online series, comes on LAN, doesn't have the best series. But I think I think we said this about the online stage as well. When the ARs are playing well, the subs are falling off. When the subs are falling off, when the subs are playing well, the ARs are falling off. It can't be that way. If anything, you have one player that has a bad map, but 3 others are kicking up, and this team doesn't seem to be able to have that, kind of go button that they can hit. Because if the 2 subs are getting tucked, you're not winning a series, no matter how good Dante and Attach are shooting. So.
What do you think, Sam? What are you doing?
Oh, man. I really think Dante played for his job this weekend, or last weekend, excuse me. Dude, I'm sorry, but I just don't know what he's doing, genuinely. Like, I get that he's just the name, and I know you want him on the team, but this team doesn't have an identity in a game mode. It's been my problem with the roster for the entirety of its existence so far. The way that they've been playing is just inconsistent. Again, they're not great at search, which is what like Dill's, known for. They're not a great hardpoint team in terms of consistency outside of their subs. I think Sib, his ceiling is just best player in the game. And I don't think, especially after showing up to the event and playing much better, I love Dill, bro, but like, he's just not giving me anything genuine. Like I don't know. I think Kremp and Mac have played great. They had a short event, but they played great online, and I like Dante. And the only upgrade path for me right now, barring a role change, is for Attach. And
Who'd you get though?
that's the thing, is that I don't fucking know. 'Cause unless you want to do a role swap in a situation where you drop a sub, which for this team just seems insane to me. But if you make Mac a flex and then drop a sub, I don't know. This team is in a very weird spot. They're extremely inconsistent and they don't have an identity. And they just seem like they have a lot of compounding problems. And I genuinely don't know where they go from here, which is tough.
Their key thing is they can't just pick up another main because Dante doesn't really like running a sub. So like whoever they want to get has to be.
That is another problem. I don't think this team is capable of adapting to the sub meta either. Like Sib he can use it, but I don't think he prefers it. And Attach, I mean, that guy doesn't use a sub really at all anymore. I think that they're gonna get even worse, genuinely, because again, I think FaZe's pace on the map with the way that they pull out subs was so quick, and I think this C9 team will get left in the dust if that ends up being the case and more teams start using more subs.
Well, this is gonna get asked. I'm gonna start with your Cap. A lot of people are linking Pred to this team because of his, connections to this team on the CL Surge time. Like he's someone that could obviously run an SMG, just won a world championship doing that. We saw him pull at ARs times last year, especially on Invasion. Like, I think maybe they go in that direction. You think?
I think it's definitely a conversation. If you're in that camp, you got to be thinking about it.
I think. Sorry, just really quick, Cap. I think this is AG's only chance if he wants to play right now.
Yeah.
I think it's his best chance.
I think this is the only team he'd be willing to join.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with Sam though that I love Dill. Truly, that's one of my best friends in the scene.
Won a
But
world championship with him.
I mean, that was decade
10 years
ago, a literal decade ago.
It's still a chip though. It still counts.
It still is. But my point is, I'm still good friends with him. But he is just simply not cutting it right now for these guys. And I because he's my friend, I don't want to say he should be dropped. But like, if he does start this next stage, like, bro, you gotta we need some hot starts. Like, you can't have a bad match because, like we've said, it's 2 subs have been their 2 best players. Dante had a great weekend, and Dill really hasn't shown anything stand out all year. So he's definitely the odd man out right now. And I do think Pred on this team makes a ton of sense right now. I think it's kind of weird to switch Mac to that kind of flex player with how well he's been playing on a full-time sub. But at the same time, and like in this game, you can run 3 subs more often than not. I'm a believer that you should have 3 subs. Like,
I feel like you wouldn't want to roll switch though. Would you want to roll switch and put AG on a full-time sub? I actually have always thought that he should try the flex roll. It kind of fit his style better, would it not?
Was he not running flex before?
He was a god on sub base last year with an AR 1.4 per map.
He's not the fastest sub in the world.
Maybe. But like I said though, I think the big takeaway right now is that you actually can get away. Not even get away, but you probably should be running 3 subs more often than not. So I'm a big believer that if you can shoot a sub straight, you can shoot an AR straight. So, whoever, I feel like that's an easier switch for either player to do. It's just about getting them comfortable and whether the play style adapts. So whether it would be Pred or Mac, if they do make the change, maybe take some time to get used to it, but it probably does make too much sense right now.
This is what I was saying weeks ago, dude, is that C9 is in such a weird spot. Well, a lot of teams are in a weird spot for roster changes right now because most team subs are their best players. And specifically for C9, when you have Pred, who is just obviously an insane talent, you are going to have to drop one of the better performing players on your team unless you want to get rid of Attach. So C9's in a very weird spot right now.
Yeah, and guys, we don't know if AG's coming back. Obviously, there's some personal stuff going on there that's been well documented on the internet, and he's talked about it. We don't know if that's a barrier to him coming back at this moment, but it would make sense theoretically for this team in a vacuum. But I agree with Sam. They're in such a tough spot, and I can totally see these guys. You guys probably agree. You can totally see them not making a change. And their upcoming matches: Toronto, Vancouver first weekend, Vegas, Boston second weekend, then the minor online tournament, and LAG Carolina FaZe after that. You can see them trying to make it maybe work.
I think Chelly's take is probably the correct one. I think he said it best. They just give it you know, maybe 2 weeks if they don't win a match or if they struggle and go like 1-3, whatever. Then I think we see something happen. But I think for right now, I think Chelly's probably right.
Well, we see pressure is on these guys. Let's talk about a team. I don't know what to do about this team because I feel like they're maybe potentially better than the record is. The Minnesota Rocker. They give everybody a challenge, and then at LAN at the tournament, were able to get top 6, but they lost eventually to Miami in 5 maps on Saturday to get out there. So not the worst placing for them. There was always a chance they could have gotten something a little bit better. But you guys probably agree. Even though Paul Exit Time has struggled this weekend, and I don't think he had that great of an event, if I remember correctly, you probably think Miami probably stick it and keep it going. What do you think, Charlie?
This one's interesting because I think Paulie, we were giving him a lot of chirps. Just, he needs to move quicker on the map and he needs to start winning some of these gunfights, these key gunfights. He's playing too slow. He played pretty well at LAN and picked it up a bit. My concern is actually Estriel. And I know Estriel's been solid. Cap, I know you're gonna hate this one, but dude, I feel like
Estriel was playing very well.
No, but like he was until he wasn't.
Let me pull up his break.
But yeah, especially in that last series against Miami, he just needs to be able to kind of clutch up for these guys and come up in the big moments. He kind of reminds me of like a metals type.
I just think, bro, I see you, bro. He didn't play that good against Miami, and he's an up and down player, but so is Gio. Everybody on this team is an up and down player.
Everybody's up
and
down.
That's
other
really,
than probably Nero.
Other than Nero, like they're just an. Let's see. Here is my read on Minnesota, bro. They're one of the least experienced teams in the entire league, other than say Vancouver. They're going to be heavily reliant on Paul to be sort of their in-game leader and Dan Looney, their coach, to kind of teach them. But like, this is a team that your thought process is they're going to be a hard out until Major 3 or Major 4, in which they finally realize their potential. Maybe actually make it like deep in the tournament into the business end of things. You guys probably agree with that. It's probably why they won't make a change, even though, Astro had tough kind of end here. Paul just didn't play that good in general now for the last couple of weeks. I don't see why they would make a change and disrupt what they're building.
I think this roster is the definition of let him cook.
Yeah.
I like the team. I like the composition. I think they're fast. I think their teamwork is good. The only thing that I have that's worrisome for me is their inability to close.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's going to get better or worse. Could go either way. But they go game 5 virtually every single series. And I think I don't want to change here. I think that they have a good foundation. I think that they're a good team. I do want to see more definitive wins against the mid-pack. I don't see them winning tournaments. I don't see them making consistent Sundays, but I want them to beat the LAGs, the Miamis, the Bostons, whatever. I want to see them close 3-0-3-1 going forward. I think that's their number one thing. And I think their map pool definitely needs some work, but you could say that about a lot of teams at the moment. But Paul had a better event for sure. He was perma 0.7 online for like the last 3 qualifier matches. He definitely stepped up. I think Gio had an unfucking believable tournament, but I think you just let the team cook. I think you see what they're made of stage 2.
Dan Looney's in my chat. He said, I think they're 0-3, but they were like 4-5 before that. Like, they've just been really like, you know what I'm saying? They've just been up and down at that point. Like, I just think they're a young team, and this is just what you're going to get with them. They have a tricky stage.
I like their team, though, genuinely.
I like their team, but
I'm a Rocker fan.
Look at their stage they got upcoming. It's not easy. Miami OpTic first weekend, Carolina, Vegas, and they got FaZe Thieves, Vancouver after the minor tournament. Like, this is a type of...
That's a gauntlet.
It's a gauntlet.
Wow, that's a tough schedule.
And if you
Holy
can get
fuck.
a lot of confidence if you go 4-3 with this and you make winners bracket, and you're like, well, we beat some of these teams already. This stage, we can get to Saturday, but I can also see them going like 2-5, and they just got to grind through losers bracket to make a run at Major 2. So
yeah, maybe not definitive wins for this stage. That's a fucking insane schedule.
It'd be great if they do get some definitive wins.
Yeah, and that schedule's tough for sure.
Well, Dan, you say Rock. Go ahead, Cap, and I'll address Dan in chat.
I was just gonna say I'm a big fan of their 3, Estriel, Gio, Nero. I think those 3 have been very good this year. I do want to just see a little more from Paul. I don't think it's roster change time yet, because I think they've like probably a little outperformed expectations. Like, I think it's all going well, but I do want to see Paul step it up a bit, because in a lot of their losses online LAN, he is underperforming. straight up. So if he steps up just a bit, I think this team does have a pretty good ceiling. Like you said, Sam, I don't think it's necessarily winning tournaments, but like they'll be competitive. They can go toe to toe with anyone.
I will call how I see it. Paul's playing for his job this stage. If he's in our disappointing stage, I think Minnesota's going to be at a point where we're just on the line for qualifying champs, and we can either keep it with Paul, and then we're just going to be fighting that, or maybe there's a clear pack-a-punch situation. And I know that for them, there's repercussions because I know Paul's value to the team from the leadership standpoint. You remove him from that, it's going to be, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're going to have to fill that void somehow. So it's not an easy decision.
If it's a change, a T-Fel here goes crazy. Just putting it out there. Just throwing it out there. I think a T-Fel here goes fucking ballistic.
It could be a way. Could be a way of doing it.
Just
No
throwing it out
Alec,
there.
no Alec love, no varsities.
Well,
I don't know the way that Tyler has been touted in challengers this year, and the way he's been playing, people have been going nuts. But like this
Challengers
team
loves T-Fel. Dan
Yeah,
Ghosty could not stop
No.
talking about
Dan,
T-Fel
Listen,
last
Tyler
year.
is like pretty consistent on lane for the most part. Great vocal leadership in game. Great at search. Like this is a spot if you're a Tyler fellow for sure. Granted, if Paul gets fried, if he doesn't, it's fine. But
this is an org that, again, if they have another stage like this, they're going to be scouting heavily the first challengers tournament at Major 2.
You made a good point though, because after this stage is when that champs picture really starts to take shape, and you start seeing like that's where teams start kind of tweaking, like, oh shit, we're not in the top 8, or oh shit, we're too close.
Yeah, I know they had a good minor and stuff.
Finish your thought, Cap. Finish your thought.
I was just saying, like, after this stage, when the champs picture starts becoming a little clearer, and that's when people start to be like, oh shit, like we're not good enough, or like we're too close for comfort. We got to make a change. So a lot of these teams who like are on the fence about making changes, after this stage is when it becomes more do or die for them, and it's like, oh fuck, let's do it. Let's take the chance.
Wow, they are right there.
They're on the call line. Boston is currently the call line at 50 points. Minnesota with 60, but Vancouver, I think will start playing a little bit better. We'll get to LAG in a second, but they're a team that I think is going to eventually factor in this. So yeah, it's just going to depend. The thing now, if we lose Chelly's cam there for a sec.
Ellie.
Time I lagged out, but we're gonna start to see we're gonna start to see the minor points come into factor at this stage, and then after that we go down to 5 matches a stage online. So the points haul you can get online is less. So it's what I'm saying, like that decision you have to make after the stage is really, really key. I think for now they should stick it. They just got a real tough stage. We'll be talking about that. 2 more teams I want to talk about. I don't really want to talk about Vegas on the show, guys. There's not really much to say about the situation. They're rock bottom. I talked to Clay this weekend. They're going to keep trying and improving stuff, but I don't want to waste any oxygen about them on the show. We'll talk about their matches next week. I want to talk about Boston. We were really high on these guys, and they've been pretty disappointing in January, and unfortunately, a couple of their players weren't playing that good at the end of January, didn't play that good at the event, and unfortunately for Boston, they actually crashed out of this tournament in dead last, getting 3-0 smoked by FaZe in about 30 minutes on Thursday, and then an absolute Game 5 heater against Cloud9. They lost in a 6-3 on protocol last map. They took the 2 hard points in that series, really enough, but they lost the control. And the search going to start with you, Cap. You look at this Boston team. Should they maybe try and pack a punch and try and support Snoop, who's having a good year, or do you maybe try one more stage?
I want to say no because I like Cammy a lot, and he's the obvious choice right now to get replaced.
Is he?
Is he not?
For sure.
I think both of them.
I think it's everybody but Snoop. What do you think?
Nah, Purge's just had a bad land, bro. Let's not disrespect the GOAT.
You picked him as the most underperforming player. You
Exactly. I had high expectations for the kid. He probably isn't used to it.
You're the one slandering him, motherfucker.
No, I said he was most disappointing.
I think both their ARs are definitely arguable.
Yeah.
Both ARs?
Both.
So you think Purge is safe?
I feel like him and Snoop work well together, man. I mean, he got pooped on against FaZe, don't get me wrong, which is worrisome because he tends to get pooped on against like the very top end of the league. But I don't know. I think Purge is fine right now.
He's a good search player.
He's great at search. His hardpoint numbers are actually surprisingly good. I think he's like literally leading the league in damage and hardpoint or something.
He's got a .98 and a hardpoint. So
I think he's a serviceable sub duo for the way that Snoopy plays the game. I think he wrangles them in very well. Their ARs, man, I needed more from them both. I know that they're all about camaraderie. We had Doug on the flank like 2 weeks ago or a week ago or whatever. He's saying how they're friends and they get along and they love this team and it's just fucking yippee-ki-yay. But like, dude, that only gets you so far, man. Like their ARs both have just not been consistent enough to be good, which is a problem that like fucking 10 teams have.
I was about to say that.
insane.
I was about to say that is that now that we're talking about this more, every team's issue is their ARs.
It's the exact opposite of the norm in Call of
It's
Duty.
so weird
Every
this
team's
year.
ARs this year fucking suck, which is nuts.
There's not enough ARs and challengers to even replace all these people.
That's what Haggy and I were saying.
There's a lot of ARs came in the league the last 2 years. Geo and Estro, for example. Like you just sort of tapped that market.
I mean, there's a fair amount still out there, but it's the opposite usually. It's very hard as an AR in previous years to come out of challengers because usually the AR spots are the safest or tend to like not change that much, and it's the subs that are super easily replaceable. But this year, everybody's subs are good. The Jackal's OP, and most of the ARs are the problem. So this is just another situation where I think that's an accurate take. Boston just needs more slaying, I think. And again, I know they have their teamwork and all that shit, but I don't know. I could also see, to counteract my own point, I could see this being a situation how it was last year with Vegas, where you make an upgrade for kills and it ends up throwing fucking everything out of whack that you had that was good prior, and it makes the team worse. Like these guys really good situational. S&D, one of the better ones in the league still, even if they had a bad tournament, in my opinion. Their respawn isn't horrible. It's just not great. And I could see if you upgrade an AR and lose however systematically that player fit in, I could see them getting worse.
I think the problem is it's not. Some teams have a mini AR problem, but what's going to get these teams to be good is they need a true flex player, and there aren't. That's like a really hard prototype that there aren't that many of in challengers. At least that people think could actually play their role at the pro level. Talking to people, so I don't know. It's why this challengers land is now massive. This is huge. This is probably one of the biggest challengers lands in a while because there's going to be
So many
potentially
people are
so
playing
many
for their
spots.
jobs.
Yeah, there's a real chance of it. You go in and you AR sub fry at that event, E or NA, you can potentially get picked up. So
Yeah, is this our 4 for that event? We running this 4 right here?
I'm down.
Yeah.
I'm running a sub.
I fear I have to run a watch party, so I will not be controlling this.
Ah,
I fear I have to executive
not
produce.
going there.
I have to executive. What do you mean? I have to executive produce a watch party. Who do you think
You don't
sets
want to
up?
run my Jackal, Benja?
I'd love to, but who do you think sets up the couch and the set you go to every day?
I'm not running AR. I'm running Jackals everywhere.
Yeah, wait, ARs. What are you guys talking about?
Wait, Ben, they were chirping you for content. This would be the content you need right now.
Maybe, but unfortunately, I gotta set up Tom's stream and make sure you can stream in 4K at this event. So, yeah, I don't to get back on topic. I don't know. This Boston team, maybe they see, and Easy Max in my chat, maybe they see like Lunars as a pack a punch option this window, but I don't know. They might try and give it one more go just because they were so good online. Let me look at their schedule. What their actual upcoming schedule is? It easy? Is it hard?
Where do they go? 5-2,
Yeah.
right? 5-2.
They got a decent amount of points. They banked enough points that they're in the conversation. This is their schedule. Interesting. Start off against Vegas and LAG, 2 underperforming teams. Then
Vegas
Toronto.
Bucks.
Then,
Baby.
then Toronto and Cloud9, the minor tournament, Thieves, FaZe, and Miami. So there might be a tricky spot where if they don't start the stage well, they're going to have an absolute blendy at the end of this one.
I think they beat LAG, and I mean Vegas is whatever, but I think they beat LAG at least. I think they beat C9 as well.
They played LAG earlier, did they? Or am I faded? No, they haven't played them this year. Yeah, I don't know. Boston's in a weird spot. We'll see if they're active this window, but I can see them running it back. You guys probably agree. You can see them running it back, but
Yeah, I can see a lot of these teams running it back, which is the problem.
Are we going to talk about Vegas?
No.
What do you want to say? What is there to say about that situation?
They're one player away from being like a team that could potentially keep up. If that makes sense. I know it's not.
I don't think so, bro.
They're a
Yo,
player away from still being the worst team, but potentially being able to win matches.
4-win line
Dude,
that we talked about at the start of the show
Yeah,
might be fucking crazy.
Bro,
they should have beat. They should have beat Ravens. They should have beat Ravens.
So
Are we going to talk about that?
I talked to Clay.
I don't remember that series well enough.
I talked to Clay and I talked to a couple of boys because they were there at about the VIP area on Sunday at the event. And, you know, I think Clay made a very good point. Like they are developmentally 10 years behind literally everybody else in the league.
Mhm.
You got to think about what that means. It's not just about like just out of game stuff. It's in game stuff. It's communication. It's like being teammates. Like there's so much for these guys to absorb and learn. I agree with you. We want to get to a point where they're at least like going to game 5 in some of these. But I think, talking to Clay, it's just like, it's a developmental year. They got to figure out which these guys can keep up. And I don't know. There's not just so much to say. Like these guys are just, they're in a spot where they're going to continue to get smoked until they figure it out. And until then, the chances of them winning 5 matches this season is not high.
Bro,
No.
Xnid, King's nasty, clearly.
King's
Dahoom's, whatever. Roxas needs to go. Bring back Kicks. You get Kicks, Dahoom, Roxas, there's a lot of names here that I don't say too often. King, Kicks, Xnid, and Dahoom. I think that 4 can actually compete in the CDL and not look completely out of place. I'll say that.
Well, the
problem is that Kicks is not accessible.
Yeah. They were talking about that in Dope Check that they were alluding to the fact that might be a longer term situation than we might have thought. So
Yeah, but you're saying they're 10 years behind developmentally. Like,
yeah, I mean, I think that's facts out of Clay though. Think about it.
They are.
Like it just there's so much like, for example, like, I don't speak Arabic, but people come in my chat and said I do speak Arabic, and their comms are not even remotely close to other CDL pro teams in the way that they talk.
Bro, you can just tell. I don't got to be fluent in Arabic to know that they're fucking tweaking.
No, they are tweet. Their comms are super frantic. You know what it reminds me of? The Heretics, like when we started the first listen-ins with them,
Yeah.
how crazy hectic their comms sounded. And even when we do the listens now, they sound way calmer. And like the Spanish, I can actually kind of understand. I mean, obviously some of the call outs are in English, but I can like tell that they've relaxed a lot in those Spanish comms. So no, I agree with this.
Someone in my chat said I speak Arabic and their comms are dog shit, I promise you.
That's what I'm saying. Like people come in my chat and they're just like, all these guys do is call out like where they died, don't call out where they spawn. Small talk to each
Every
other.
kill is the most important kill in the world, and you're never going to play good COD.
They just
Playing
they
like
don't
that.
they have so much to learn, and it's possible that the realistic net of their situation by the end of this cycle, including after UWC, is a couple of these guys are shooters. Their English gets better. They build a mixed team, and they start to blend cultures. They have a good pipeline they build from players coming from region who come for challengers come in, and that's how they like make a contending team, because just the full MENA thing just isn't going to work. But I think they're going to keep giving this thing a go, at least to the run of this year, and then see what happens. At least talking to Clay at the moment. So this is not much else to say. These guys they're not gonna make champs at the moment, and they're probably
Fuck no.
it is
They're
what it
not,
is.
they might not win a series.
So. But I want to talk about some more interesting teams. Like
not gonna make champs. Well,
yeah, they're
of course.
I'm calling it a buck, bro. They're not making champs.
They're
Wow,
not- they
crazy
might not
claim.
win.
Oh yeah, man. Bold
Uh,
prediction there.
LAG, another team that maybe you can argue could make a roster change, and like you could argue that
C9-2. C9-2.
you
Same
could-
team.
You could argue that in just like online, this LA team pulled up to land and they had a heartbreaking series where they battled. They somehow won 2 hard points against OpTic. By the way, one of those was not close. They lost
The
a game.
Bulldog
They got
masterclass.
around 11 S&D on Skyline. Okay, they outclassed in the hostage control, but Boston D wasn't close. Like, what if you're these LG guys? What are you doing?
Nothing. That's the problem. They're not going to make a roster change.
I think they should though.
That's fine, but they won't.
I know.
Say that right now.
Well, I mean, do you agree with me that at the moment Preston's played a little bit better?
It's C9.
What does that mean?
It means their subs are playing relatively well. I think
Every
Lids and
team.
Kids have been awesome. I think that Preston is just the same as Dante. He's like kept his job, and I think Caesar has shown me nothing all year. Love Caesar, one of my favorite people on the planet. But him and Attach are the same. I haven't seen anything from either one of them.
You recap?
Yeah, I agree with that.
You agree as well, Charlie? Pull up his stats right now.
He's like scarred from last Call of Duty. Like I don't know if they broke him or what happened on that last team he played on. They slowed him down to a point where he just like wasn't even shooting his gun. And now to come to a game that's just so fast paced. I mean, we've seen like Insight pick up his pace of play and some of the slowest ARs in the game. I haven't seen that from Caesar, who, dude, when Caesar's shooting, he's shooting better than any AR in the game, bro. Like, I don't know if you guys remember.
He's got
Skies.
Celium syndrome, bro.
Yeah, when he
Someone
gets
start
when he
calling
gets going, he gets
Yeah.
going. Some of those finals we've
That's a
seen
good
over the last couple of
Hydra.
years, he was a shooter in those. But I agree, he's
Dude.
an absolute snail on the map right now.
Skies on Mutineers on LAN was like untouchable. like
I think
untouchable.
I think Caesar's been drifting towards this like super slow play style.
It was
But
the end of last year. You could see the transition from how he played the middle of MW3 to the very end when he was 15 and 15 with 2 minutes every map. Like he turned into like Insight, like at the end of last year, and he just hasn't switched that gear. He's still there. And in a game like this, you cannot do that.
And their issue is they're 2 and 7. They're in 11th place. Like we were talking about Vancouver and C9. At least those guys have a couple of more points. Like that is they can only have one bad stage. So they got to get it going from here. Y'all agree? You don't think they're making a change? You don't think Caesar goes?
I think they won't, just because of like how like tight knit this group is. The world champ trio, D-Real's their coach. Like
The fans are buying in.
yeah,
Do you guys think that's complacency?
With them?
Like not in terms of complacent from success, but just complacency from familiarity. It's the same as Boston. I don't think Boston makes a change because of complacency with their situation, and they're just content with.
I don't know, because my argument is, what do we think about FaZe then?
I don't know if it's complacency.
What does FaZe have to do with that?
Because they were trending in it.
They're winning tournaments every year, but that's not even close.
They're trending in a direction after chance, and people were saying, well, maybe they just ran the trio.
They literally are guaranteed to win a tournament per year. That's not even in the same realm of possibility.
No, but it's the same.
I'm talking about LAG
quasi
2 and 5
fucking
right now.
conversation though. Like
no, it's not
because I'm trying to make the point to you. It's like I don't think it's I don't agree with it because I don't think it's a familiarity problem. I think it's the pieces seem weird on the map, and they've started to figure out their hard point a little bit better. But like.
No, I mean in terms of not making a change. Like, what is the argument to keep their team together right now? Can you make one?
No, they should make it. They should make a change.
That's what I'm saying. Is that complacency from familiarity?
Yeah, I think it is familiarity, and like you don't want to drop your friends because especially when you have such a great history with them.
You won champs together. Everyone wants to be LATV too.
Of course.
I don't know. I don't think they make a change. They should.
Yeah, this is what Sam said earlier. C9 part 2, right? Go ahead, Cap.
My bad. I'm just trying to think it all out.
Good, bro.
Damn, bring up the complacency thing got me thinking about it. I just think they're not going to, given their history, they're not going to be aggressive in making a change now. And then they're going to like have to panic, make a change when either mid stage 2 or after major 2. Oh shit, we haven't really gotten any better, because I don't think they will. Maybe they will. Who knows? Anything could happen, but I don't think they will get better. And then when it's almost like too late in the year, start this stage, who knows, 1 and 3, 1 and 4, 2 and 4. It's like, oh shit, now we have to make a change.
Yeah.
But then it's probably too late. A lot of players, the top AMs are probably gone. They're further behind the champs race, all the shit.
I think the one thing they have, just before you go, Ben, I think the one thing they have going for them is if they get better at search, I do think that they have like multiple more series wins from their first stage.
Yeah.
Like their search is so abysmally bad, and they still are extending series. And I think if their search wasn't fucking terrible, I think they have 4 wins under their belt right now.
Their search record is.
That's probably the way they're thinking about it too.
Yeah, 4 and 9.
But here's the interesting thing with their schedule: they play literally all the bubble teams. Boston,
they're 13 and 12 in respawns.
Yeah.
So their search is like, if we get better at search, we'll be fine.
Yeah, it's probably the way I think about it. Like, oh,
but their respawn is also not great. They're 13 and 12 sure is 50-50, but like when you watch them play these maps, some of them are just insane.
Yeah.
I agree, but when you're in their position, you find these ways to cope.
Yeah.
And rationalize
if we're just 50-50 in search, like we're good.
They play.
That's probably what
they play all the teams around them, and this one maybe might be like, well, we can control our destiny because look at who their schedule is. This split. They play all the bubble teams. Boston and Miami, right? But Miami at the moment not a bubble team. Vancouver,
have a good schedule. We'll
Vancouver,
say that.
Cloud9, Vegas, FaZe, OpTic. So the FaZe OpTic double at the end is essentially 2 L's.
But the fact that they start with 3 matches, because then you have
3 of the other
break.
bottom 5 teams.
Those are the first 3 matches is good, because if they don't win at least 2 of those, or at least like look good, and like maybe go 1 and 2, but look good, then that should be the super red flag. Like, okay, this isn't working.
I agree.
Whereas like if let's say this stage was flipped and they played FaZe and OpTic first, those first 2 matches would tell you nothing.
Yep.
Ben, did you just say Miami's not a bubble team?
In terms of like making champs
at the moment they're not, because they have a pretty big gap on them.
In terms of making champs.
But I have a feeling Miami will come back down in this conversation. They'll maybe like 6 with some work to do in the final stage just to lock it in, which you see in a couple teams. It's going to get 20, 30 points and they're in. They're not going to be like, I don't think 100% safe.
It's going to be so funny looking forward this year when it happens every year. The teams that have a great stage 1 that have that like mid-season dip, they're like, oh, thank God. And I think that maybe like, I'm not going to say Ravens could do it, but like Ravens, if they do have a dip, they're going to be thinking like, oh my God, thank God we got 4th. Or like Miami, for example, I think they could probably be a more likely candidate. They're going to be looking at their stage 1, just thankful as fuck they got 3rd.
Well, I think we'll see what happens with LAG. I just don't like going to the middle of the stage to make a change because then you get to deal with the roster lock issues in Challengers Elite, and it just gets so dicey.
You also get no practice going into a fucking CDL match in the same week.
So, well, that's all the teams. W tournament. Shout out to FaZe for winning, Thieves for runners up. We'll see if OpTic can factor in their home event. That's coming up in about 6 weeks, 5 weeks. We have an online minor tournament in the middle of the qualifiers as well. I want to finish out the pod talking a little bit of season 2. We're expecting probably some news probably early next week about maybe some adjustments to the map pool. I'm going to start with you, Chelly, because I know you've been playing a lot of COD. What are your thoughts on the new maps? Do you think, I know they're a ranked play now, do you think that maybe they could be viable? You think maybe not? What are your thoughts on Bounty Dealership?
Dealership. I mean, I thought Dealership was small. Then I spawned into Bounty, and I was like, what is this? Dealership would, in my opinion, would be the more likely of the two to get added for maybe a hard point. Bring back Rewind for at least SND, man. Protocol SND needs to go. I can't play that. I can't play that fucking map anymore.
Protocol S&D.
I'm taking
Protocol
out
before
Vault. At the
Vault.
moment.
You gotta get Vault out,
Protocol
bro.
before Vault, in my opinion.
Taking out Vault.
Vault is miserable to watch. It's miserable to play.
Yeah.
Gotta be just
That's-
bang
I'm
the
taking out
A-bomb.
A-Bomb Plant Simulator.
Listen, they're both bad, but Protocol was the first one to come to mind because it's the same thing. You can just go down bunker and beat them every round. But Vault and Protocol both need to go. Bring back Rewind SND at least. I didn't like Rewind HP, but if they bring that back, 100 Thieves will be the best team in the game. So maybe Sam will be.
That's my
Hope
man
in
right
for
there.
Sam.
My man right there.
Dealership. Listen, dude, it's gonna be Rio but smaller. I would kind of compare it to, and I don't know. Is it smaller than Bocage? I don't even fucking
No.
remember.
I don't think it is. Even the dead
No,
areas and Bocage.
Bocage is smaller.
But I think it's.
Bocage is Bounty.
I agree with
Bocage is Bounty. There you
I agree
go.
with Dan watching it in ranked. It seems like it's potentially 8-sub map at the pro level, which I don't think
Love
is
that.
like. I
It
don't
is.
think that's
Love
not.
it.
I don't think it's a problem. That shouldn't be a disqualifier for a map. If
I
it's gonna go
think-
flow and it's 8 subs, so be it.
I think Charlie. I think he hit it on the head. Bounty is unplayable in all modes. It's just insane. The map is just fucking insane. It's also an 8-sub map. There's 17 out of the map lanes. It's a fucking insane map. Dealership is also probably an 8-sub map, barring like maybe one hill. But the flow of the map, it only has to be better than Protocol or Skyline. Like that's it. It just has to. The bar is in hell. It's not that Dealership
bar
has
is
to
low.
be. It's not that Dealership has to be a great map. It just has to be better than Protocol or Skyline. That's it. Which it is. So, I mean, if they're willing to test it, implement it, that's fine. But I've played it a handful of times now, played it in 8s, played it in ranked. The flow of the map, the hill locations are a little mid. I will say a lot of the hill locations on Dealership are middle map, essentially. The edges of the map really aren't utilized super well. Both like actual default spawn points aren't great. I wish they would move the hills, which is an easy fix, but the map has viability, at least in my opinion.
I know it's called Dealership, but can they take out some of the cars, man? Like
The cars really don't. I don't think they play that big of a
There's a
part.
couple hills where it's like you're just gonna die to the car even if you have a trophy there because they'll just like
I
dodge the
think that street hill with like the G wagon on it could be
street
annoying.
hill and the garage hill, like deep back garage.
Yeah. No, I mean there's a couple instances, but like you also have just Vault with a giant van that gets kills every single time you play it. So
I mean, yeah, it's
you got to
fair.
give and take. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't think the map's bad though. I really don't.
Yeah, they can move some of the hills maybe by the middle, but
It is
the,
an 8-sub map though.
the pros are coming back today. I'm very curious if they're starting to scrim or try this map out. I would hope so. If not, I'm gonna have the same kind of conversation we had last year, which is like, you guys are really gonna wait till Sunday before your matches to try, and I'm gonna get 2 days, and then say this sucks, and then it doesn't get added. We have to watch the same stuff, but let's see what happens in that process. Hopefully, everybody on both sides, and I'm also saying on the Activision side as well, taking ownership, trying to fix some of the map pull issues. But is Slipstream allowed in ranked right now or no?
No, I don't believe so. I haven't tried it,
What'd you
but I
say,
also haven't. Yeah, it's the new sprint
Yeah.
perk. I don't think
Okay.
it is. I think it's gated behind some event thing going on right now.
Interesting.
I haven't seen anybody using it. And I feel like I would, so I don't think it is. I'm pretty sure there's some like weird event unlock thing that there has to happen first or something.
Oh, in order for it to actually be available, so it's not even available yet.
Yeah.
Okay, well.
Sam, did I see you running
Yeah, it's in private
a cipher with no red dot, no reticle? What was good with that? What's good with that?
Just extra attachment, man. Don't need that red dot shit. I hate that gun. Take it out of the game.
We have
Yeah, get cipher out of there,
we
bro.
have a fellow tweet in its official contract. We have no idea what he's
That's
talking about. If he's
bait,
baiting.
That's
but
bait.
He's so
That's
bored.
bait.
I hadn't heard Phil any
He's so
rumors
bored.
before this day, but I think
He's-
he's trolling.
He's so
baiting
bored.
Until proven otherwise.
Illy did the same shit like a month ago, bro. Just people start talking, shit starts dropping. These guys want to get some engagement. I respect the fuck out of it.
Get your Elon bucks.
I've confirmed via someone this is bait, so we're until proven otherwise. Just fellas just licking free interactions on X. So shout out to him for that. But yeah, we'll see if there's new maps come in. Obviously, I don't know about Slipstream. I want to talk about a few other miscellaneous topics because people have begged us to talk about this one. There was a little bit of an incident during the event involving LA Thieves, where they may, and I'll pull up the clip, they may or may not have committed a, and by they I mean Paco may not have committed a pretty
We
egregious
glitched, bro.
violation.
Listen, I'll address the elephant in the room, man. He did it.
No.
Paco stair glitched. He did it.
So
He did
like,
it.
dude, this is my thing. Like, if they're doing it and the repercussions come after the event, what's stopping everyone from just doing it and then eating the repercussions? So
Nothing.
this
And we
is
pointed
the
out since we
stupidest-
pointed out since the start that this is an issue.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I
there's
agree
a
with him.
circulation question here. Chat.
Bark, bark.
It's very funny if you watch his clip. Sam's reaction. Sam's like, whoa. Suddenly I'm
Yeah.
blind. But yeah, chat. For those asking, I haven't heard yet if these are being punished scrims or not. I just don't know. We'll check up on it and see what's going on with that. But you'd figure they get at least a day or three away. But we don't control that process. We just call things as red cards. That's on the players and teams to manage, and sometimes they fuck up that process. So
Well, I got news for you. They might not be able to scrim for a couple weeks, but their hard points probably don't need it, and they just should probably be playing S&D8s anyway. Like, that's what they really need to focus on right now. So
if S&D8s can form, because players be slacking. So
They were playing
You don't-
before they went to the event.
well, we'll see after the event though. That's the key thing at this point. I think that's really it on topics. I don't think there's really anything else. We got no matches this weekend. They'll be back next week. So we'll run an episode midweek and kind of walk through the upcoming matches and give you guys our previews, our picks, our props, all that. But do you guys have fun? Anything else you guys want to talk about?
Super Bowl picks. Obviously, we know Cap, but I want to
Who
hear
are you
everybody
guys
else's.
picking?
We'll start, Sam.
Neither one.
Okay, you got to pick one. You got to pick one. Bro.
I got fucking Dark Knight. Bane walks in the stadium and the whole collapses. Everyone cheers. The world is a better place.
I'm
That's
gonna
what I want to
add on.
What
Also,
the-
what Kendrick Lamar song would you like to hear at halftime?
Monster!
Don't give a shit
TV off.
about
Okay.
the halftime show.
You're gonna be shitting bricks anyway. You're not gonna be thinking.
Halftime show needs to go as quickly as possible. I don't give a shit about Kendrick Lamar.
Shelly, what
Don't
do you
even come out.
answer about the question? Shell, what do you think?
Dude, listen, dude. A week ago, I was all over the Eagles to win the Super Bowl, and as the week goes on, my reasoning a week ago is this is the worst team Mahomes has had. He doesn't have as many weapons as he's ever. They don't have a running back. Kareem Hunt is now their RB1
Kareem
apparently.
Hunt's somehow better than Pacheco.
Exactly. So
Pacheco's
there's,
That's crazy.
The guy's not good.
there's a million
Pacheco-
reasons.
yeah,
and
Pacheco's
one,
not good.
Pacheco's not good. Kareem Hunt, I don't know what he's doing as RB1 right now. I guess he's their RB1. Kelsey's old and starting to become more washed by the day. The refs are obviously a concern. And the only way the Chiefs win this game is if the refs legit hand it to them, which they did 2 years ago, Cap. If you recall that hold in,
Oh my God.
Do I recall?
do you recall? Was
If
it
I
like,
recall.
who was it?
James Bradbury hasn't played since.
Bradbury.
Fuck.
Actually, he did play last year, but
I'm going the Eagles still, bro. I can't talk myself off it. Mahomes is gonna have to rush for 100+ yards. So if you guys want to play for me, Mahomes rushing yards. But
Again? Oh, no, attempts.
No,
not
I
yards.
faded his
attempts, not
attempts.
yards. That's right. Attempts, not yards.
Listen, Benji's prop choice. The Barkley longest rush is still like 22 yards, which is insane to me.
Gotta take that.
Yeah, I'm like, that's a free. I took a free on that the NFC Championship game. I think it's a free again. It was at like Last I looked, it was like 22-5. I was like, over for sure. I think Barkley's Barkley's a factor.
Travis Taylor Swift's fucking boyfriend, man.
Yeah.
God damn it.
I think Barkley and Travis are the two biggest X factors in this game. And I trust Barkley more than do Travis Kelce. And I think the Eagles will win, but it's going to be. I think it could be a classic coming
Cap
down the
hates
wire.
hearing all these Eagles win takes.
And,
No, I'm like,
He
like
hates it.
I love that you guys like are picking the Birds, but like it's too much gas. I don't like that.
I just trust the
Hates
Eagles. The Eagles defense is good, man. They've got playmakers on the defensive side of the ball, especially the DB level. And we know that there's a lot of speed in Xavier Worthy. Kelsey's obviously a physical tight end still at this level. Like, I just think that the Eagles can be able to make plays and frustrate Mahomes. And I think the offensive line, the Eagles can handle that pass rush from the Chiefs, and they're just going to be able to run the ball. So,
With that being said, Chiefs 24-21.
I'm taking the Eagles. And the song I want to hear, because apparently Sis is going to be there, is I want to hear All the Stars, because that song was a banger
cool.
when it came out.
That's going to be the last song he does.
Yeah,
That's going to be the last song he
close
does.
that song. It's going to be an absolute vibe. So.
Cap, you got to beat the refs, dude. That's only you got to beat the refs and Mahomes.
I hope it's the
so
worst
good luck.
ref game of all time.
I know.
hope it's the worst fucking game ever.
I'm not concerned about the
Pure
ref.
hate.
I don't buy into the.
You are 100% concerned
You
about
better
the
hope
refs.
there's not a single 50.
I don't buy into the rig as much as everyone else. I like to tweet about it for shit.
You think Josh Allen got a first down?
I do, but I do understand why they.
Do you think Xavier Worthy caught that?
No, but that was a dumb challenge anyway.
No.
There was a penalty on that.
It was a stupid
There's a
challenge.
penalty on that. They would have just got a first down like the 15-yard line,
Do you
even
think
if
that
it
Patrick
was over.
Mahomes drawing a fucking unnecessary roughness call when two defending players ran into each other was correct?
That's just him pushing the rules. That one's not really.
Do you
That
think
one
the
is.
do you think the 2-minute warning hitting when the play clock ran out with no penalty was on
That
Patrick
was
Mahomes?
crazy.
That was crazy.
It's just the rule,
I'll
though.
keep going if we want.
Yo, that's
2-minute
crazy,
warning is just the
Sam.
rule, though, because
I'll keep going
Romo
if
was
we
all
want.
over that even as it was happening.
Yeah, bro.
I-
You're not concerned with the refs though. Don't worry.
I listen. They're gonna. It's gonna. They've reffed the
Frauds.
Super Bowls all mostly the same way recently. They have basically just let them play, like especially with the
I hope
DBs.
so.
They'll call the obvious holds. They've been calling less of these offensive line shift and formation shift penalties this year because I assume people are getting better at it. But like, they're not going to call any plays on the DBs. Otherwise, it gets
all that fucking gaze. I'm gonna lose it.
I don't think they will because I think the NFL tells them not to because then it becomes fucking annoying to watch in the Super Bowl when there's a call every other fucking
I mean,
play.
they acknowledged the narrative in media day this week, so you got to think.
You know what my least favorite Eagles penalty is? Because we get it all the time. Is illegal man downfield on these RPOs.
Yeah.
If we get an illegal man downfield on RPO, just know while watching the game that I'm fucking tweaking. I am losing my shit if we get that penalty.
I think I'm gonna put Cap's notifications on for the game.
Oh, well. Now I'll be sitting there. I'm going to.
There'll be a lot of tweets for sure.
I'm gonna be.
I tweet. I have to tweet myself through every game.
I'm
course.
going to be going to Atlanta. I'm going to a party in Atlanta at Tyler Beasley's house, and we're going to be sitting there. And Zach's going to be like, "Look at Cap. He's crashing out on Twitter."
Mm-hmm.
That's my guy right there. They'll be good, but I think the Eagles are going to clutch, and Cap will do his victory lap. And I don't know. You're going to go celebrate in this. You're going to take the train down to Philly and go celebrate in the streets.
I may. I don't know. I was thinking about that. Let's see what happens first.
Nice little Amtrak situation. Yeah, they got to grease the poles there, as they always do. But anyway, we'll call it there. We'll talk more about the Super Bowl, post-Super Bowl. Probably do a show on Wednesday. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Make sure you follow everybody on Twitter, Octane, JKap. What, you're Chell Gone on Twitter now?
Chell God 69.
Just Shell God,
We're going to
bro.
get you like the OG Chelly. Does someone have it?
Dude, they have, Chelly's taken. It's literally just Chell God. It's the best I could
When was
get.
the last person? When was the last time Chelly tweeted on Twitter?
Oh, it's been a minute. They can't get it for me. They tried. I got a guy on Twitter trying, but he couldn't get it for me.
Yeah, it's joined March 2007. Yeah, you might be fucked, brother.
Octane, bro. How do you get that? Octane Sam. Oh, it's not even Octane. It's Octane Sam. All right, sorry,
Nah,
we're
Octane's an old British entrepreneur guy who I offered $10,000 for his at, and he blocked me.
10,000.
Yeah.
This is rich Sam when he was a human turret winning events. 10 grand.
What were you
oh well.
balling like that? That MW paychecks?
Yeah, it was MW.
I wonder you're feeling like that.
Yeah.
But we're gonna call it there. We'll see you guys on Wednesday. Obviously, if you're watching this live, you can watch it back on my YouTube at BenJ Nissim. And yeah, we keep doing these throughout the season, so make sure you guys enjoy. Let us know in the comments what you thought of the video. And yeah, we'll see you guys on the next pod next week. Hope you all have a great Super Bowl Sunday. Good off weekend as well. Peace.